person just that's the good thing about it. Like, figured I'd be that now and stuff.
No, but that's good to know because I did reiterate that it, please put that in your message. No, but that's good to know because I did reiterate that it, please put that in your message. No, but that's no, not at all. I'll just circle back and I'm gonna make a universal, reminder, so we won't be singling anybody out. Because that is in the script. So
What does it say?
in the script, it says that we're calling to let people know if we're calling into every action. It's that we're calling to let you know that there is a county council meeting on Tuesday. They're voting on this ordinance. You can attend the meeting and make public comment. Here are the ways to do that. And that it walks them through. You can use our tool to send a petition to the county council. You just have to put your info in. If you want to write your own email, here's the email to the county council, their general email. Just make sure you include, please read my letter during the meeting. Yeah, so we need to
bother to go into some details. But I didn't recognize it much to see, but yeah, definitely I was like waiting for because I was, listening, this is great, the way to, fast people. So I'm assuming one
Day. What a strange start. What a strange day. Hear it. Okay, Facebook. Okay, Facebook. Always helps when I have the mic in front of me. What do you say we go live now?
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight? A loyal man who brings a job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's process to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? Will raise your hand against the others and will you compare? You'll cast your vote for Kennedy and the change that's over. It's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Welcome, 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 welcome from my humble second bedroom here in Bethlehem Landfill Township, formerly known as Lower Saucon Township, but now Bethlehem Landfill after it's after the landfill, a wholly owned subsidiary of Waste Management. Great way to start with the tickle in your throat. Always great for the radio guy to have the tickle in his throat. Following the purchase of our township council by Waste Management through the Bethlehem Landfill Township, through a shadowy pack in New York City, because God knows folks in New York City have a great deal of interest in local politics here in a small township like Lower Saucon. But anyway, from here, my humble second bedroom in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States on this planet Earth, the only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect, live with you for the 21st of August, 2022. I believe last week, let me just start off with some generalities, if I may. Some pleasantries, if you will. I believe last week I started off the program mentioning to you how I can be at times a very, very simple individual. Sometimes I'm simple-minded. Some people would tell you that I'm simple-minded all the time, not just sometimes. But that the passage of time, the movement through a year, I find sometimes very fascinating. And I had mentioned to you last week that we had started to sleep here at night with the windows open, because it had been so nice out in the evening and so dry overnight that we could actually turn off the air conditioning and sleep with the windows open for a bit. And we did that for about 2-3 nights in a row. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say there was like one other week where we had like one night of it that we may not have been with you, but all of that said, this weekend we returned to like the depths of summer, like properly summer. And it is not, I could probably, I'll try to tell you very quickly, which is, I know you guys just love how I research stuff live on the air. It's powerfully interesting radio. But that said, I want to say, well, that's funny. Okay. So the Weather Channel app, which that's my go-to weather app of choice, not an endorsement. God knows they're not paying me anything. I'm just saying I happen to find that one, whichever one you use, good for you. I happen to find the Weather Channel one to be quite complete. It says it's 86 degrees outside. I think it might be warmer than that. We got right into the depths of summer yet again the last few days and pretty much the latter half of the week here in the Lehigh Valley. And it looks like it's going to pretty much be that way through the week. 86, 89, 90, 88, 88, right up to Labor Day. It looks like it's going to be pretty much summer if you will. And I gotta say, it feels kind of good. When you get those first couple blasts of, or the first couple realizations, like, wow, the weather's really changing. Fall's coming. It's kind of nice when summer does a rebound and comes back to you, if you know what I'm saying. And it felt nice. We had company here at the pool yesterday, and family, and it felt really, really nice just to have everyone here and kind of enjoy everything. And it was very, very nice. It was really, really nice. I'm so sorry for the coughing. I would also offer to you, so the cough actually itself kind of reminds me of something. I think I have discussed this with you before, that, boy, allergies, huh? And I forgot actually a little bit of nasal spray before I started to try to open my face back up, because I think at some point I might literally have to run from the camera and get something, or I'm going to sniffle at you the entire show, and that's not pleasant. I haven't remembered a summer, even last summer, where allergies have been so bad and so prolific throughout the entirety of a summer as they are this summer. It really is something. I don't know if any of you out there are allergy sufferers, and I realize that we are very, very fortunate that our signal and our show is consumed all over the planet. So for our listeners in Australia, New Zealand, below the equator, you're in winter right now. So I would expect, he tried to say, I would expect that you lot are not suffering the way we are. That said, boy, I cannot remember. I mean, I've suffered with hay fever allergies my entire life. I can remember as a child that my eyes would swell to a point where they would swell shut, and I that they would literally swell shut. And I used to have to lay on the couch with these like patches soaked full of this anti-inflammatory medicine just to try to be able to see. I mean, they would literally just swell shut. Like I was going to say like somebody punched me, but that's not an allegory you really should be using any longer in society. But I think you get my point. And so yeah, I would do that. And it hasn't been that bad, even though I'm complaining about it. I can't say that it's been that bad. It's just I'm just a little taken about how bad the hay fever is. As we are in the latter half of August. I mean, as a child, I can remember, and even into my teens, I can remember, spring, obviously, when everything was bursting, was always the worst. But then when you would get into the depths of summer, it seemed like all of that, everything was already in bloom. It was done. The trees are full of leaves. That was kind of it. And then you'd have like another round in the fall as certain plants will, send out seeds and pollen and so on to promulgate themselves for the following year. And but boy, it's something. We've had pollen alerts almost every single day. Among the neat alerts that you can get from the Weather Channel is a pollen alert. And I get a pollen alert almost every single day for here in the Lehigh Valley. But anyway, that's a hell of a long time to talk about pollen. I just don't know if any of you are suffering in the same way that I am, or that Kristin is for that matter. And I'm sniffling to you right in the middle of the, right into the microphone, which if I had a dump button, which I don't have, by the way, I would try to prevent you from that, but I can't keep you from it. But I don't, we talk about a lot of heavy, really weighted topics here. Sometimes just something as simple as, chatting about how your hay fever is, kind of humanizes us, I guess, a little bit. Anyway, let's get to the business end of the program. Wherever you may be on this Sunday, August the 21st, 2022, or depending on where you are in the world, it's already Monday, the 22nd. We thank you so very, very much for being here. We could not be here if you are not there. If I have time later in the program, especially since I have no scheduled guests, I'd like to take a couple minutes to kind of read through to you the groups and pages that we share this program so that I can thank them properly. I think a show where there's no guests is a really good time to do that. We've actually lost a couple groups this week, and that happens. I don't know why it happens, to be honest. They let you share your announcements and programs for 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years. One of the groups that I had that asked me to separate from them, I've been sharing the program there for 3 years, and then to this week it bothered them. So you know what, that's fine. That's their own section of the Facebook universe. They have control over it. And even though it's sad and it kind of bothers me on a personal level, because I do kind of take it as some type of rejection almost, if you will, but that's their choice. That's America, free choice, right? So freedom, unless you're an American, unless you're a woman and who happens to be pregnant, freedom, right? So sad to see them go, but it happens. But we still managed to share our program to about 105, if I'm not mistaken. I will do a quick look for you. 104. I stand corrected. 104. I said almost 105, so I guess I was close. 105 places across Facebook this week. We thank every single one of you, every single page, every group, everyone, every single individual that shares this program. We simply can't be here without you. We can't be. We would be the proverbial tree in the forest. I almost said tree in the faucet. Why would I have said such a thing? I swear I haven't had. All I had today was coffee. It really shouldn't be this bad. That being said, we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you so very, very much. If you do not know where we are, at a place where you can comment, ask your questions, be part of the program, please come on over to our home group Facebook page. I go through this every week. I know it's tedious, but I go through it every single week. Our home group Facebook page, that other side of information, that THAT, other side of OF. I almost said OV. That's funny. OF information, that other side of information. That is our home group Facebook page. You can become a member there, see all the articles that we post. We have a group chat going on constantly. Nice feature that Facebook added to groups like ours, the ability to chat. All members can just go into a big group chat and talk all week long, 24/7 about anything that we post inside the group. We hope you'll become a part of it. And that, of course, is our homepage where you can see us and watch the program and always find the program. And we hope that you will. Of course, our program is built on 3 big pillars. Facebook is one, and I know, not everybody's the biggest fan of Facebook, but that is one of our big pillars. It's kind of like a 3-legged stool. One of the other really big legs of that stool, probably the leg and the seat, really, is hot101.net. If you're not listening to hot101.net, I don't know what more I need to say to you to get you to do so, because you should be. We have a great family here at hot101.net, and I am beyond honored to be a part of it. Again, I don't think the program would exist without hot101.net. You really need to check them out. If you don't know how to listen to hot101.net, well, then you have not been listening to me, because I tell you multiple times every week, but you should be doing it. Please check it out. I am humbled and proud to be part of the hot101.net family. Our name is our web address. It is hot101.net. If you have an Apple device, you can go to the Apple App Store and find the hot101.net app and play directly from the app. If you have an Android device, you can go to the Google Play Store and find the hot101.net app version for Android. If you have any other type of device, like a Pixel or an LG phone or Motorola or something like that, you can use the Tune In radio app. Go up to the search bar in the TuneIn app and type in hot101.net. And of course, America's favorite game show, you can tell Alexa to play hot101.net. I continue to wait for someone in the audience to tell me that you tripped my Alexa, and now I'm listening to you. So I very, very much hope that will happen at some point. That somebody, I will turn somebody's Alexa on, or change it, or do something fun. Somebody's going to tell me one of these days that I did it. And of course, the third pillar, the third leg in our three-legged stool, really is our deep friends, our good friends, our sincere friends and family, really, at TCP, the Cultured Professional, a proud and growing minority-owned business right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in the Lancaster area, an extremely important voice. And I would say, with all, I think factually and with all sincerity, not just a voice of communities of color, but a voice for all Pennsylvanians. Right here from Lancaster, TCP, the Cultured Professional. Please check them out on Facebook and on Roku, and the audio for all of their programs goes out on their internet radio as well, WTCP. We will open up the phone line probably after 5:30 for those of you who want to jump in. It is just you and I today. I have had some candidates contact me about possibly joining into the program, but the keys to the castle are kind of laying under the entry mat. You can let yourself in. Wow, sounded like a very smart little story, didn't it? I'm very proud of myself for that one. That sounded like a very smart little story. Yeah, we left the keys under the mat. Let yourself in, put it that way. That said, let's get to it a little bit. It is 5:20 Eastern time. I see Bobby Joe in the chat. I see Margie in the chat. Dave, Randall, of course. Randall, I love you, my friend. Connie Santos, great to see Connie in the chat. It's been too long since Connie and I have shared space in a room at a meeting, screaming about all the good things that we should be screaming about. All that said, thank you all for being here. Please come to that other side of information, join the chat. Bobby Joe has a story she wants to share. We will get to that in just a moment when I open up the phone line. Just a couple of quick thoughts before we go straight to phones. It's been a very, very busy week. There's been a lot going on. I think for those of us who have made politics a life, or even a part of your life, you would know, I'm not reinventing the wheel here or telling you anything that you didn't already know, that campaign season really gets into overdrive around Labor Day, or if a little sooner, when schools reopen. Well, that doesn't seem to be particularly true so far. I don't believe that the fall elections have the focus that they will after Labor Day, but it seems that the percentage, if you will, of apathy is as high as it usually is. I get the sense that there are more people dialed in to the fall elections at this point in the summer than would normally be. Maybe that's the best way for me to say it. Why do I say that? Well, the polling, some interesting polling has come in from around the country. Look, I live here in Pennsylvania. Kristin lives here with me. So many of our friends and political connections, of course, obviously live in Pennsylvania. We're based here, but we're not. Our program, we're very fortunate, literally goes around the world. So some of the polling that has come in this week that I find very, very interesting, and it also again speaks to the level of people who are engaged and who already seem to know who they're going to vote for. The number of folks who are undecided or have told pollsters that they're not going to vote at all, to me, has been very, very low. And I find that encouraging. So which ones are we talking about? Let me start off with a bad note, with a sad note. Not done, but at least some polling that I found surprising. And I would say consider the source, but honestly, their polling has actually been relatively spot on and accurate, at least in comparison to other polls around, like Quinnipiac, Ipsos, NBC, Washington Post, et cetera, et cetera. Fox News said this week that Beto O'Rourke is only 5 points behind Greg Abbott in Texas. I find that sad, unfortunately, because they actually do think that the mass murder of school children in Uvalde, Texas, some of which had to be identified by DNA and by the sneakers that they were wearing that day, because their heads had quite literally been blown off. And Greg Abbott's not only complete unwillingness to do anything about it, but his almost fervent, angry pushback that it even be suggested that he do anything about it, that it even be suggested that he is in any way, shape, or form responsible, even though he has done everything he can to make guns as easily available and as non-regulated, protected, controlled as buying a lollipop. Currently in Texas, there's more regulation, protections, laws over driving than owning a weapon of war. So that was a disappointing one to me. Now, the debates have not started yet, and I have a feeling that Mr. Abbott is really not going to do well in a debate with Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke, if you've paid attention, seems to be campaigning to me. And again, I'm not going to tell you that I'm any expert on the day-to-days of the campaign in Texas. I'm watching it, but I am admittedly watching it from a distance. That said, Mr. O'Rourke seems to be campaigning with a little air of FU to it. A little air of, you know what, screw this. If I'm going to lose, I'm going down. I'm taking everybody else with me. Now, normally we would say that's a pretty selfish attitude, but I think in this case, given the level of just depravity that seems to be coming out of Texas, as Mr. Abbott continues to enrich himself, and while his state, burns in the desert, is thirsty, can't keep the power on, kids dying in schools. I mean, if that's what he chooses, if Mr. O'Rourke, if he's decided that if I'm going to lose, at least I'm going to take a chunk out of Abbott on the way out, then I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And quite honestly, I'm not so sure. That's probably how Democrats need to start campaigning in some of these ridiculously red places anyway. I might lose, but you're going to hear the effing truth from me, whether you like it or not. And I happen to appreciate that about Mr. O'Rourke. In Arizona, Senator Kelly is up by 8 points on the would-be female Trumpian candidate, someone who's gotten properly fascist in her, Carrie Lake, the former news anchor. What is it about these former news anchors? Whenever I see a former news anchor or a news reporter or television personality run, they seem to turn into these deep Republicans. I remember I can see her face. I'm going to remember her. I'm going to forget her name. She was a news anchor, Channel 10 in Philadelphia, and then she ran for the state Senate in New Jersey, where she actually lived and won. Diane Allen. That came back to me pretty quick. Her brain might be firing on some cylinders today. And she ran as a deep red Republican, and continues, and I believe might actually still be serving. I haven't lived in New Jersey in a while, and I don't know that. And I'll try to Google it during a break if I can. I find it odd that these television personalities seem to run as Republicans so much. I find that very, very interesting. My guess is because they're wealthy and they want to hold on to their money, and the hell with the rest of you. You don't have money, then tough crap, die quick. In Wisconsin, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes is ahead by, I want to say, 3 points over a man who has just gone off the Niagara Falls in a barrel, Ron Johnson. If you do any sort of research on Ron Johnson, and quite frankly, I don't know why you would waste your time doing such a thing, but if you did, you would find that when he first went to the Senate, he was absolutely a conservative. There's no question. He's a Republican, dyed in the wool, but he wasn't the absolute aliens landing from another planet nut job that he is now, where everything is a conspiracy, everything. He has really bought into the daily outrage. Don't look at what I'm really doing to screw all of you and to remove every last ounce of wealth I possibly can from you before we can get you out of here and in and 6 feet under. Here, look at the shiny object over here. That's what Ron Johnson has become. If you listen to some of the interviews he gives, even the interviews that he only gives interviews in these friendly areas. But if you've watched any of them that he gives with Fox and One America, blah, 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 all these friendly places, they're absolutely unhinged. They're unhinged. Even the Fox and One America Newsmax anchors sort of look at him with that sort of Tucker Carlson constipated face of like, what are you talking about, mate? What are you talking about? I mean, he's done everything but blame mole people coming up from the sewers for everything that's wrong. And that, I don't even need to go through all of the, how evil Democrats are and all of our sinister plans and so on. For a party that seems to have, if you're a Republican and everything that you've blamed Democrats for, all these secret societies and shadow governments and special interests and all that, how come so many Democrats are broke? Why is that? Why are we the ones that actually lowered the cost of prescription drugs? Why are we the ones that expanded the subsidies for folks to buy healthcare plans through the Affordable Care Act? But we're the ones with all this sinister, we're really tools of the rich. Soros sits in a dark room somewhere with 1,000 TV screens and pushes a button when he wants and sends electrical pain receptors through a Democratic a lawmaker when they don't do something he wants. I mean, what are you talking about? You've got to be kidding me. I mean, you really do. You've got to be kidding me. It's madness. It's absolute sodding madness. In Georgia, Senator Warnock is up by 5 points over Herschel Walker. That is disappointing only in the standpoint that, again, Mr. Walker, if you've ever listened to him speak to anyone, it's just a word salad of ridiculousness. It's just a word salad of nothingness. And yet Mr. Warnock's only up by 5. Let's remember too that I think, if you combined the number of voters over several past elections that are being purged by the Republican state government there, especially Mr. Kemp. And if you've ever looked at the way Secretary of State Raffensperger spells his name, and it's always pronounced Raffensperger, it's not. It's with a P. Perger. He's literally got Perger straight in his name, folks. He's purged. They've purged. We're approaching I think we're well over 500,000. We might be approaching. Yeah, it's well over 500,000 voters that have just been purged from the rolls in Georgia, and they've been purged pretty much for one easy reason: they're black. There's no way around it. They're black. Here in Pennsylvania, the Mr. Fetterman leads Dr. Oz by 18 points. with only 13% left undecided. This is what I mentioned to you earlier, that I find it really, really refreshing. And I find it, I think overall, a really good thing. Folks are engaged. When you only have 13% undecided with a week, well, what, today's the 21st, with 10 days left in August, that's pretty good. That means you've done an effective campaign. Mr. Shapiro is up by 15 points over would-be authoritarian Doug Mastriano, who, by the way, I put a toy for you. I put a game for you in our comments section. I put a link in there for an online tool created by the Teachers Union here in Pennsylvania, the PSEA. If you open that link, you come to a map of Pennsylvania where all of these school districts are listed. And if you tap on your screen on your school district, you will get to find out how much his education funding plan strips from your district. I was having a conversation with Alex Dietrich before we came on the air. It's kind of like the German archaeologist at the end of the original Indiana Jones who stared into the ark and then his face melts away. It's kind of an interesting special effect for the time. You kind of can't help but look at the tool, but as you do, you realize your soul is like slowly being eaten away. It's like looking into really one of those dark places, to borrow Alex's phrase, but you kind of can't help it. It's kind of like driving past a car accident. So I did some of that for Northampton County. As a state committee member for Northampton County, I wanted to let each committee know as best I can in Northampton County what this funding, wink, 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 plan would mean. Among the highlights, if you will, or lowlights, highlight if you're a Mastriano follower, my home district of Saucon Valley would lose $22 million. City of Easton would lose $40 million. Nazareth Area School District. Let me see actually if I can find that photo for you, because I'm suddenly blanking on Nazareth. There's Nazareth. Nazareth would stand to lose $36 million. And the city of Bethlehem, the 8th largest city in the state of in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, would stand to lose over $102 million. And then we have the audacity to call this a funding program. Seems to me when you have a negative in front of any number, that generally means negative, as in something being taken away. That said, it's pretty dire. This isn't a funding plan, folks. It is a plan to defund. It is intentional. It is planned. It's being thought out. And it's cruel. It's intentionally mean. Because young kids of color in big cities don't need education, according to this plan. They just need to grow up long enough that they can be low-skilled, uneducated drone workers. And that might sound somewhat dystopian, like some type of science fiction novel. But that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about an intended, intentional, thought out plan to defund, decertify, deconstruct the public education system. What does that do? It leads to folks who are unskilled. It literally takes away the best economic equalization mechanism that's ever been created: education. Thomas Jefferson did not start the University of Virginia to make money. It was nonprofit. And Jefferson he wrote the epitaph for his own tombstone. Jefferson's tombstone does not say President of the United States, doesn't say author of the Constitution, member of the Continental Congress, author of the Declaration, doesn't ambassador to France. It says founder of the University of Virginia. So maybe you're one of those folks who thinks teachers make too money, the union's too big, too many administrators. I don't like this particular thing being taught in the curricula, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what? Honestly, I think those are discussions we can have. I may not agree with you, and you may not agree with me, and that's okay. These are discussions that we can have. But to simply, for what's left of the other party, and I don't think it's a party, it's a corporation, but at least he's running under their banner, to stand up and say to every child, every public education school-age child in this Commonwealth, you are worthless to me. Or at a minimum, you're worth 50% less than what we spend. That's this plan. That's what it is. Rich kids, heavily white districts, send them to parochial schools, send them to private schools, send them to charter school, you'll be fine. Everyone else who depends on the public school system, not even necessarily communities of color or poor people, but if you depend on the public education system because you might not be poor and destitute, but you depend on public education because you can't afford private, screw you. That's what this plan is. It's a big screw you. You can't afford education, you don't get it, go die in the gutter. And when you do, we'll find another one to take your place. It's the Amazon model of public education. Get in our warehouse, pick 10,000 pieces an hour. Water, you don't need that. Bathroom, wear a diaper. Can't keep up, die in the aisle. The other people will work around you. Oh, by the way, after you're dead, we'll probably withhold your last check for the cost of having EMS come out and take your body out. That's what this is. And as I have advised every candidate that I've ever worked with, one of them's on the screen, I have said, don't be afraid to challenge the people that are in front of you. So let me challenge you around the country, around the world, and especially here inside the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Is that all you're worth? Are you no better than this? That a man who would stand in front of you, tell you you deserve no pay, no child labor laws, no education, no environmental protections, no roads. Are you not better than this? You are better than this. We are a society. We are not a group of rugged individuals. We're a society. If my house burns, yours might just go with it. With all that said, let me welcome to you my friend. I told you we were just going to put the key under the doormat and let folks show up today. We had no pre-scheduled guests, but someone was nice enough to join me. She has the Zoom. I can't. She comes, right? She has the Zoom. She gets in here all the time. I'm kidding, of course. I'm just being facetious. But Jackie Baker is the Democratic nominee and candidate for the Pennsylvania State Senate, joining me from her office and her ever-improving internet ever improving internet connection. Did you please warn the kids to stay off the video games while you're talking to me?
We're lucking out. No one is home.
I can remember, I think very early on in this program, Jackie has run for office before. We were in the middle of a conversation and she just disappeared. And one of her kids came in and hopped on a video game. A very similar thing happened when we had our very long, but it didn't feel that way when Jim Byrne joined us, and he did the same thing. He was right in the middle of this really intense diatribe, and he froze and jumped and skipped and then disappeared, and it was his kids that came in and turned the video game on and stole all the bandwidth and kicked them off. So I'm making fun of Jackie that way. But anyway, folks, I do see so many of you in the chat, and I'm so grateful. I really, really am. And I mean it. I mean it. I mean it with all my heart. There's Kathy. There's a name I don't recognize. Welcome, Kathy. Alex is here. I mentioned her before. Gary Brown, welcome back to the program. We appreciate you. Margie, Ashley Say, who is going to call this program one day. If she calls me today, even though it's almost 90 degrees, look out for snow, should she do such a thing. Katie Zlotnik, I hope I said that correct. You are a new name to me. Thank you. We are ever so grateful. Who else we got going? I mentioned Randall. Judy is here. Indivisible Mayday is here. I need to join your group. Indivisible Mayday, please send me a please send me an invitation so I can become part of your group. I would be grateful. I will try to remember that. We'll scribble that down here at some point. Tom Charles is here. Tom, welcome back. Tom has listened before. Mike Dowd, welcome to the program. Thank you, sir, for being here. Margie, I mentioned. Dave Keller. I think I got everybody. So thank you for being here. And I appreciate it really. Very Dottie is a new name to me as well. A lot of new names in the chat today. I'm extremely excited. Gretchen is in the chat. I appreciate it so very, very much. Lots of new names. I don't know where all these new names are coming from, but you know what? Brilliant. There could always be some Republican plants in here. That would be fun. That'll be fun. By the way, let me mention this too before I get to Jackie. Let me just say this too. I have told you that I am turning this program over to as many candidates as would be willing to appear here, state level, federal level, around the country, don't care where they come from. And I don't care what party. Mr. Mastriano is welcome to come in this program. I've been inviting him here for 2+ years. He's afraid to come here. There's no need to be afraid to come here. If you are so confident in your positions, then you should easily be able to defend them against little old me. Any Republican who is running for office anywhere in the Commonwealth, anywhere in the country, you are welcome here. I guarantee you we will not agree on everything. 100% we won't. However, we can still have a conversation. I'm always reminded of when Robert Smith joined me here on this program. Robert is as decent and humble and caring a human being as you're ever going to meet. He's a good man. He's a really good man. And he doesn't need me to say that about him. Everybody does. I don't agree with his politics to save my life. We actually tend to agree on a lot more than he's willing to admit, I think. I think his Republican Party doesn't exist anymore. But that's a discussion that we've had lots of times before. But he's a good man. He's a really good man. He's welcome here. Any Republican is welcome here. Any. Jersey, PA, Maryland, Delaware, New York, Oregon, Tech, I don't care. Anywhere. No, we probably won't agree. I can pretty much guarantee it, we won't agree. But it doesn't mean that we can't talk to each other. We have to talk to each other. We have to. We have to. Men in Doug Mastriano t-shirts with bulletproof vests under the t-shirt, armed and ready to beat people to death because they just want to ask the gentleman in question. We don't get anywhere as a society that way. So this show is open. Let me turn to 5:45 Eastern. That other side of information is our home group Facebook page, Apple App Store, Google Play Store for hot101.net, and the TuneIn Radio app, and TCP, the cultured professional from Lancaster. Jackie, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me again.
Remind everyone Who is Jackie Baker and how did you get here?
Well, first, you might know me as the poster child for bad internet service, right? Across.
God, see, I deserve that. That's funny.
I really am.
But you have to admit, when you were running before, everybody wanted to hear from Jackie, and they would say, "Hey, Jackie, how are you?" 10 minutes later, we would get a garbled, "I'm good," and then it would just keep going.
Yes. So I know firsthand how bad we need better internet service.
Exactly.
In our rural areas. I am Jackie Baker. I am running for state senate in District 20. District 20 is in northeast Pennsylvania. It covers about 5 counties: Susquehanna County, Wyoming County, the northern section of Luzerne County, Pike County in the Pocono region, and Wayne County as well.
How did you get here?
Well, my background is in education. I was born and raised and educated right here in Pennsylvania. I became a teacher for 15 years, and I started my political career in 2017, right after the former president was elected. I was really worried about everything, decided I needed to get involved, and I started to pay close attention and get involved with a lot of groups. Indivisible was one of the first groups I joined, and Action Together and things like that. I became more involved in my local Democratic County Party. I was then elected to be the state committee representative for the Pennsylvania Democrats in Susquehanna County. So I've been out there listening and learning for quite a while. I decided it was time to try to run in 2020 because the Republican senator in District 23 had been there since 2012 without ever facing a Democrat candidate. And I figured we need someone to stand up for our values and to work toward the issues that will help Pennsylvanians, because I've been living here for so long and I haven't seen anything happening in a positive way. We are getting left behind because they just don't care about Pennsylvanians. They just care about staying in power. And so I stood up, I ran in 2020, was getting more prepared. I took some classes. I have been studying. I have been out in the community for the past 3 years, standing on picket lines with workers from hospitals that aren't getting paid enough, while their CEOs are making record profits during a pandemic. I've been out listening
Pennsylvania.
in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, just Pennsylvania, creating 3 new billionaires during a global pandemic. For all of the folks on the other side of the aisle, or at least who consistently vote that way, for whatever reason, to be upset that your local pizza place was closed during COVID, but yet you created 3 new billionaires. If you're more worried about the pizza place, and I was too, we have a beautiful family little pizza place that Kristin and I can walk to from here. We were worried about them. They're a good family. They're a super nice family. I'll give you the name of them quietly, if you ever want to check them out when you're in the Hellertown area. But that said, we hoped that they would survive COVID, and they did. And as much as I did not approve of Governor Wolf's arbitrary who got to stay open and who didn't, let's remember about shutdown really, really quick. Let's just remember the stay-at-home guidelines, the quote-unquote shutdown, the quote-unquote lockdown, because it wasn't a lockdown. You could leave your house. You just asked not to. Started under Trump. And why did it start? To keep you all from getting COVID? Kind of. More so, it started to protect the for-profit hospital systems because they had no beds. They had no medicine. They had no respirators. They had nothing because empty beds aren't profitable. Let me try that again. Empty beds are not money making. So they didn't have any. That's why you were all asked to stay home. Let's just keep that in mind. Let's keep that bit of truth in mind. Please, Jackie.
Yes, I mean, that's a huge issue in our rural areas. We have places that don't have any access to healthcare whatsoever, or healthcare, you're traveling an hour and a half to get to it. And yes, it's terrible that so many nurses and other staff of the hospitals were not getting paid well or getting treated well during a pandemic when they were putting everything out on the line and putting their lives on the line for us. And what did we end up with now? We are ending up with more hospital closings again. And you're right, it's all for profit, and it's not right, and it's hurting everybody.
The United Kingdom has something called, Great Britain has something called the National Health System. National Health System is completely and 100% owned and operated by the government. The nurses, the doctors, everything, they are paid directly through the government. All supplies are purchased in large bulk purchases by the government. Extra stuff, extra supplies are stored in huge warehouses by the government. There is zero profit margin whatsoever. So when the National Health Service needs to buy beds or gauze or Band-Aids or Q-tips or respirators, they can buy them in bulk for the entirety of the national healthcare system, the National Health Service, the NHS. The NHS is so beloved in Great Britain and the UK that during the 2012 opening ceremonies of the 2012 London Olympic Games, they celebrated it. They actually did a dance and musical number celebrating the NHS and how proud as Britons they are of it. The UK had no shortage of respirators or beds or supplies or anything that the United States faced, because when there's no profit motive, none, you can have warehouses full of extra respirators. You can have warehouses full of bandages and Q-tips and bed sheets and pillows and wheelchairs and everything else that you could possibly think of. And you can afford, quote unquote, afford, not even in the financial sense, but you can afford to have empty beds, because that bed is not there to generate profit. It's there to take care of people. So we don't want to dwell too much on that part of history, but we will. Before we get into issues and stuff, Jack, I want to ask you a bit of a personal question, because we do like to get into a little bit of not just the Jackie Baker, the candidate, or any candidate that comes to visit us, but the person. When you are telling me and the audience who you are, where you came from, how you got to this point, you mentioned kind of in passing, but it kind of stuck in my head. When you began your quote unquote, when you began your political career, if you sit back and you think about that statement, what do you think? What is it? Can you step back from yourself and say, I'm not just by any means, you'll understand what I'm saying. I'm just a teacher. I just wanted to teach kids. And then you find yourself, does that happen to you at some point during a day where you just kind of step back and go, I just wanted to teach kids? And my political career, I mean, do those words bounce around in your head? Do you hear that?
Well, I say it, but I am a teacher, and I became a teacher because I care about kids, their families, and the communities. It's all connected. I worked really hard to be a teacher. Then I got injured on the job, so through no fault of my own, I had to leave the job that I loved so dearly, and it was very difficult. But even when I was teaching, I always was very involved with every organization and every committee, from planning curriculum to student-based evaluations and different things. I was very involved in the school district. I care so much about our kids, their future education, their home life, their community. That's really who I am, and my values that I grew up with teaches me to care about everybody, help people who are in need. We need to take care of the poor and the sick and the hungry. That's what my values teach me as a human being, as a person, is to care for other people. And then being in education, I can see the schools if you're in education, if you're a teacher, you understand how big of an environment it is. It is all encompassing because you're dealing with families and things that happen outside of school and health issues. There's just a million different issues you're dealing with every day. And you have to have a big heart and become a compassionate person and meet those kids' needs. And that's what I did as a teacher. And then when I pay attention to the education part of it, I know that we can do better for our students. And so there's always been a little part of me that wanted to know, and have always worked toward trying to make education better for all students and more equitable across all districts. So my caring for people and kids and being a teacher, being a public servant, these are the things that drive me to get involved. I don't think of myself as a politician. I think of myself as a teacher who has seen what's been going down the tubes for too long. And I have a family, I have kids. So many families in PA are counting on a good education for their students in their neighborhoods, a free public education. And Mastriano's plan would completely destroy that. And I just feel like I need to mention that real quick, because like Jeff, I went on psea.org and I was reading about it and looking at the interactive map. And as I said, my district would cover 5 counties, and all 5 of my counties are shaded in the color that would indicate that our school districts would lose 67% funding. That's a lot of funding. So it would be over $12.75 billion in funding to education across the Commonwealth. That means we'd lose about half of our staff and teachers. And we can't do that. We need more staff. We need more counselors. We need more social workers. We need more teachers. We need more bus drivers. We need more custodians. We don't need to cut anything in our public education. That is the foundation that we need to build on. So we would lose a lot of teachers, and then we would have a doubling in our student to teacher ratio in the classroom. So a class that may be 15, 20 students will now go to 30 to 40 students per teacher. So I just
know
out how harmful it is.
Better in smaller classrooms. We know that. We know that. Not smaller physical classrooms, obviously, but I mean smaller groups of people, that teachers simply have a more manageable workload, so to speak, and you can spend more time with each student if you have between 15 and 18 students in the classroom. This is the way it's done all across Europe and Asia, for that matter, where they have much lower student to teacher ratios than we do, and their outcomes, sometimes spending less money than we do, are higher and more consistent and better. So that exactly is what Jackie's talking to. This isn't about even just, it kind of isn't about, it almost makes it sound strange when I kind of say it that way. I'm listening to myself in my head and that kind of sounds a little strange. The Mastriano plan, if you will, and it is a plan, let's be honest, it's intentional and it is a plan, isn't just so much about cutting per pupil spending in half. It's how does that manifest itself? It doesn't just manifest itself by, a literal number of dollars that's spent on each student as if we were somehow handing it to them in a paper bag. It's about administrators, computers or tablets, supplies, teachers, custodians, new HVAC systems to help prevent the spread of viruses like COVID, if not COVID itself. Maintenance of buildings, of grounds, of extracurricular type programs, from the debate club and the chess club through the basketball, wrestling, and football programs. It's about a complete destruction, dismantling of public education. It's saying this is no longer, it's basically saying that this is no longer a government function. It is completely private. If you can't pay for it, then you don't get it. Tough crap on you. And I'll get into this a little later in the program. I talk an awful lot about the differences between Pennsylvania and New Jersey and how much Pennsylvania could learn from New Jersey, and why enough Pennsylvanians like me who know the difference aren't pissed off enough to do something about it. A plan like Mr. Mastriano's plan would be laughed at in New Jersey, even by Republicans. Even in New York, in upstate New York, where some of those counties in upstate New York are as dead red as any county you will find here in PA, they would laugh at such a plan. It is comical. It is farcical. It is not even a consideration. Yeah, there's Republicans in Jersey and there's Republicans in New York who would love to see public education more privatized. But the outright obvious draconian slash and burn that this plan is wouldn't even get a sniff in those two states, or Maryland, I don't think, for that matter, or Delaware. Hell, I don't even think West Virginia could get away with it. The only one of our neighbors to PA that could possibly pull something like this off is probably Ohio. But all that said, it is 6:03 Eastern time, wherever you might be across the Facebook universe or anywhere around the world. It is 6:03 Eastern time here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, wherever you might be on Facebook. 105 shares, or at least it was 105 last time I looked. I think it was 105, 104, 105. Stay where you are. You can enjoy the program in the group or on the page or wherever the heck you are watching. It doesn't matter. You can stay right there and continue to enjoy it. I will not see your comments or questions if you do not come to our home group Facebook page. I always feel bad when after the program or the next day, I will get a notification from Facebook that this particular person commented on your show. And I find that I go and it's in a group that's not the home group. And it's a question. And sometimes it's a really good question. Sometimes the question is then followed up with oh, you're scared to answer my question. But I don't see it. I don't see it. So other than our home group Facebook page, I do not see anyone else that is watching. I don't see your comments. I don't see your questions. It doesn't work like that. If you want to make comments or questions, I ask you to please come to our home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. Join the chat. It is a busy chat today, quite busy. And I'm so thrilled and I'm appreciative of it. I'm telling you, I mean it. I'm very, very appreciative of it. Hot101.net, our name, is our web address. Apple App Store, Google Play Store for Android, and the Tune In radio app. Go up to the search bar and search for hot101.net. You can also tell Alexa to play hot101.net. Remember, you can stream hot101.net any way you wish. If you know how to stream, you can stream us. Desktops, laptops, tablets, phones, Bluetooth speakers, in the car, however it is, I just ask that you do it. You will enjoy it, and I'm proud to be part of the hot101.net family. Also, tomorrow morning, keep a lookout for TCP, the cultured professional from Lancaster. I do need to go down there and join the morning show again. That was a hell of a lot of fun. You should be watching and listening to them. They are an extremely important voice in the community, and not just the Lancaster community, but the Pennsylvania and the American community. I ask you to please check them out tomorrow morning. TCP, the cultured professional from Lancaster. Probably bottom of the hour, I will open up the phone line for you to take part. I actually already see people that wanted to call already. We would want to give Jackie her time. She'll take your calls anyway. She ain't afraid to talk to anybody, especially me. And we'll open up the phone line probably at the bottom of the hour. Just one more general sort of loose Jackie Baker question before we get into the deeper, scarier bits. How have you been finding campaigning? How different is it from your first go round? How has it been? Is it better than it used to be? Is it worse than it used to be? Is it easier? Is it harder? Have you been encountering the would-be militia types, you know, dressed up like they are for Halloween, like real army men? Or you're not getting any of that? Or just how has campaigning been, the general essence of campaigning?
Well, I've spent a lot of time learning between my run in 2020 and now. I spent all summer last year working and studying with the PA Budget and Policy Center, and I earned a certificate of completion with them. So I took a really deep dive into learning everything I could about Pennsylvania's governing and our bills and our laws and everything. I have continued, like I said, I keep going out in the community and listening to people and showing up where there's issues so that I can listen and learn. That big piece has made me a better candidate because I'm always listening and I'm always learning. And I always want to hear from people because I feel I should be a representative and not tell them what they need, but they tell me what they need. And I can work to help solve those problems. There's a lot of excitement this year. This is such an important year, up and down the ballot. And I have found I haven't come across any bad blood, no militias. In fact, I've been talking to all kinds of people, and there are independents and there are Republicans who are on the side of right versus wrong. And they are supporting candidates like me that are going to stand up for our rights. You know, our vote should count. Women's rights are so important. And we know what Mastriano and the Republicans would do. They would completely ban abortion, take away our personal rights, our freedoms. There's so much on the line, and we are just so lucky that we have candidates up and down the ballot that are going to fight for these things because it's just so important this year. So I've had a great experience across all 5 counties, being out, talking to people. The county parties and different groups have been really excited and working hard. They know how important it is. We get Josh Shapiro as our governor, and we get Fetterman in the Senate. And we, in our district, we need Amanda Waldman to take our Congress for us, our congressional district. And we need to flip the Pennsylvania Senate. Those lifelong career politicians who, have been in there for so long, they're not listening to their constituents. I've heard it over and over and over that they're not helping. Their voices are being ignored, and they're really fed up with it. There's so much happening, and they're just not doing anything. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of hard work, and the Republicans there are writing pieces of amendments that they want to sneak through and pass through and avoid Josh Shapiro's veto pen. And these are constitutional amendments to our Pennsylvania Constitution that would be extremely harmful to all of us. And we cannot allow that. This is the birthplace of democracy. We are the Keystone State. We are here to hold everything together. We have to all get busy and work really hard. And that's what I've seen. I've seen a lot of people talking, engaging, and regardless of party, even I'm not talking about extremists, but I'm talking about people who know what's at stake. And there's people from all parties who know what's at stake this year. So I really appreciate all the input that I get from people. I want to know what issues are affecting them. I feel like I've personally faced all these issues myself. I'm worried about the environment, healthcare, infrastructure is a huge issue in our counties in Pennsylvania. There are just so many things. Our veterans, our seniors, our children, our education, there's just so many things. So everybody's on board and excited and working really hard because I think everyone knows just how important it is this year.
All right, let me back up. If you should happen to have this part of the conversation with folks, when, regardless of what party they may identify as or have voted for in the past, when they approach you and say, this is a mess, this is a mess, this is a mess, or you Democrats did, or you Democrats didn't do, or do they know who the hell's been in charge around here for the last 40, 50 years? Because I find most people don't. They tend to have a default position that, well, Tom Wolf's a Democrat, so you guys run everything. Not so much, no. And nor have we for about the last 40 years. I think it's 36 out of 40 years. And if I want to go back to 50 or 60 years, it's, I think, worse. But, and I'm not certain of that. I do know Republicans have controlled the legislature for 36 of the last 40 years. Do they know that? Do they know do they even know who the hell they're angry at?
No, most people do not know. You're right. Most people think the governor makes all the decisions, all the laws, all the rules, all the, everything. And no, it's not. Most people are not really familiar that they have a state senator. Maybe more so a state representative because they may need, services and may need to go to their offices. However, the things that I hear is that they're not getting a lot of service. They're not getting their constituent services that they need in these offices. But most people have no idea who their elected officials are and who they should be angry about. When these gas prices are were this high in the past few months, why are Pennsylvania's gas prices so high to begin with? Because it was the Republicans in the Pennsylvania legislature, including my opponent, who decided to put a tax on us, the hardworking people, the taxpayers, us little old people here, so that we could pay for the infrastructure. Then they did the bait and switch and took that money and funded the state police with it.
Well,
So
about $3 billion a year, I think, if I have that right, somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 billion a year.
right. So they were mad because they're mad
at back the blue, but we can't fund them. we back the blue, but they can't have any money.
Yeah. Well, they put the gas tax on us. It didn't, and it went to infrastructure for just a little bit, and then they switched it out. But people are mad about how high gas is. But it was their Republicans that they voted for that put that gas tax on us in 2013. And now I've heard some say, well, we'll get rid of it. Well, it's about to expire anyway, now that you've had it on us for almost 10 years or whatever.
I got bad news. It ain't going anywhere.
They're the ones who are in power. You're right. They've been in charge and my entire life. And that's what I'm tired of seeing nothing happen. When we look at the states around us, we are so far behind everybody else. From minimum wage that hasn't moved from $7.25 since 2006, yet all the states around us have higher wages. We're falling behind the education system, the social services for people who are in need. We are falling so far behind.
Quick fun fact, quiz, question. And it's not really a fun fact. I'm just kidding. It's actually quite depressing. What does Pennsylvania spend more money on, prisons or schools?
You asking me?
Yeah,
Prisons, of course.
right. Because they're even more profitable than schools.
Everything is about profits instead of the people and the people's needs.
Jackie, I think a lot of folks around the country, and I think a lot of folks even inside the Commonwealth, tend to think of Pennsylvania as this forward-thinking, northeastern, uh, Penn, because I wouldn't say Harvard elite, Penn elite, uh, upper crust sort of state. Just really isn't that way, is it? I often refer to us as the northernmost Confederate state, and I think I'm more and more right all the time. It would seem to me that the Commonwealth has become a place, by design, by the way, by design, by Republican design, and to be quite blunt, by not enough pushback from our party, not enough fight, not enough pushback. Whether it's just out, lighting things on fire and trying to scream about it or whatever it might be, but not enough pushback and not enough press. The lack of press, of actual real press coverage in this Commonwealth, is frightening. It is borderline third world. It's one of the reasons we started this program. But I think a lot of people think that we're this northeastern Ivy League-ish sort of state. We're really not. And I actually think it's become a Commonwealth, become a state government that is openly hostile to the people who live here. You have any thoughts, agree, disagree, right, wrong? And please feel free to disagree with me. But I mean, are you getting that sense? Because I really have become more and more convinced that this Republican legislature openly, it seems to be acting for as unskilled and dumb, and yeah, I don't use that word lightly, worker drones as they want for big business in this state. They also don't want anybody to really live here either, because heaven forbid you might use something. You might use the roads, and then we might have to pay to fix them, or you might become unemployed, or God help, you might need a school or infrastructure. So we don't want you here because you cost money, but we want you here because big business needs cheap labor. It can't really be both, can it?
No, that's right. We know that 73% of the largest corporations that do business in Pennsylvania pay zero in Pennsylvania income tax. Yet they use our infrastructure, and like you said, they're using our workers. They need to pay, and they pay their fair share. The Republicans in Harrisburg, they only care about being in power, it appears, and staying in power, and taking money from large donors. And people like me and many other candidates run grassroots campaigns where we're not taking money from big donors and big corporations, and therefore we are not beholden to them. We take small dollar donations from any individual donor because we want to work for the people, and we care about the people. We have been watching this. This has been going on for so long, just like you said. It's 35 years out of 40. Nothing's improving around here. They don't want to invest in our education. They want to ignore the quality of our air and water. We have the third worst drinking water, the third worst air quality of all 50 states. That's not acceptable. I don't want children growing up in areas that they can't drink the water and they can't breathe the air. And they just ignore it and make excuses. And even my opponent claims she does not know what the Mastriano education plan is. She doesn't know because she doesn't care. I care. It's the difference. And you're right, Democrats. The Commonwealth here is pretty much Appalachia still. We are still a large part of Appalachia. And it makes me really sad that when I grew up in these communities and these neighborhoods and traveled through these all Northeast PA and places, these are people and friends and families and schoolmates that I grew up with. And where we are now is, it just is a feeling of, division and hate, and it's sad. It's sad. I feel like we're losing our community, unity. We don't have any more unity, too much division and too much hate. And Democrats do need to stand up, because we do have a lot of Democrats. And most Democrats I meet don't realize there's other Democrats around the corner. It's one thing is, we're not as loud and obnoxious. We're not out there pulling down billboards and stealing political signs like the other side is. But we do have a lot of Democrats. Unfortunately, for so many years, no one has stood up to the Republican machine of power and money and has gotten on the ballot. And many people probably have stopped going or are tired of going to the ballots and not seeing another choice. So, for instance, there hasn't been a Democratic choice in Senatorial District 20 since 2006, when my opponent took office. There has not been a candidate to stand up and challenge until me, because enough is enough. We need someone to stand up. And when we do stand up and make our values clear and the issues clear, and that we're here for people and not profits, we get people excited and we get people on board, and we're going to get them out to vote.
Let me ask you about that. When you are out talking to folks, how many of them tell you that this is the first time any candidate from any party, Democratic, Republican, Martian, whatever it might be, what is the reaction? Are they happy to see you? Are they shocked to see you? Are they, what's the reaction that you get generally?
When I'm out and about,
I mean, are they happy to see you? Are they just like, wow, we haven't talked to anybody running for office here in X number of times? They ask you that you're running against Lisa Baker, which is hilarious. And I mean, did they tell you wouldn't know her if we tripped over her? Like, or did they tell you the opposite? We like her. She's doing a great job. And they're allowed to feel that way. They can feel that way any way they want. Just what do you get when I have so many candidates that come and visit us here, and I'm very proud and very happy for every single one of them that does. But they tend to give me kind of the same answer, and I'm curious if you have the same answer. When I knock doors, when I walk through a farmer's market, when I walk up and down a main street and go in and out of the shops, and I say my name is, and I'm running for, and we've never seen a politician in here ever.
yep.
Is that what you're getting?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Knock on doors. We had no idea. We've never heard of our elected officials. They've never come to talk to us. They don't show up if we go to their office. We're getting ignored. So many people are just shocked. They're excited that for once there's another candidate to choose from, me. They're not stuck with no one on the ballot and being stuck with just one person who's sitting there doing nothing, not being challenged, not listening to people. And I hear that constantly. I have heard so many stories from people that say, this is what happened to me when I needed help. I went to Senator Baker's office and this is what happened, and I'm disappointed. And my problem wasn't solved, or she didn't get back to me, or she refuses to meet with these people who are victims of something. She's not accessible, and many of them, they're just. It's really exciting when they do get to sit down and talk with a candidate, especially when they've never had that opportunity before, because the other side doesn't do that.
Then how do folks how do they make a logical conclusion to you? How do they assert the very traditional? It's dumbed down, in my humble opinion. Nobody likes that phrase, especially when I'm talking about them. But how do folks then kind of rationalize this? Government doesn't work. You all stink. Blah 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 blah. When they don't even know, they've never done anything different. They wouldn't know Lisa Baker if you held up a mugshot of her, and I'm sure there is one somewhere. They wouldn't know her, but yet it's your fault. You're the one running for office, but it's your fault. All you people are the same, except the one who's actually in the office. One of the great statistics that dumbfounds me beyond almost any other. The United States Congress, and that's both houses, by the way, the Senate and the House, that's Congress. We tend to talk about people's Congress people. I guess they are to an extent. House of Representatives and a Senate, the US Congress, has a 12% approval rating. 12% of the American populace believes that Congress is doing a good job. But your individual person, your House member or your senator, they have roughly a 92% approval rating. And 96+% of them will be reelected in November. The turnover in Congress is usually only about 4% each cycle. And depending midterm cycles, that turnover is usually less. There will be more turnover this time simply for the number of reps that aren't running again, but that's beside the point. So when you do see folks that give you the old traditional, you're all crooked, government sucks, government doesn't work. Okay, well, have you ever tried to ask for anything from Lisa Baker? She's doing a great job. Do you have any idea what she looks like? Have you ever seen her? No. I mean, how does a person, especially someone who's took an awful lot of time and years in the classroom and who spent a lot of time trying to teach and use logic and deductive reasoning, like, how do you even, like, what do you do at that point? I'm wondering how you don't just light your hair on fire and run the opposite direction.
Well, sometimes you do have to run away. No, no, but
Sanity.
like you said, like we all drive on the same bad roads. We all have certain things that we have in common, that we have seen the problems. Unfortunately, they always get the great spin, from the newsletters. They want to vote straight Republican. That's what they've done for 65 years. I did work as a poll election clerk for a few years too, so I know what it's like to be in there on election day working. But a lot of people in rural areas that have been here for many, many years, they don't really know anything other than the letter R, and they want to go in and just push R's, and that's all they know. But if we get an opportunity, when we get a chance to talk to them, they'll find that there are some reasonable things that we have in common. But then we also have to explain who's making those decisions, who's making those laws. It's not Governor Wolf who put the tax on you. It's not Governor Wolf that's doing these things. It's a few powerful people in our Pennsylvania Senate and Pennsylvania House, which makes up our General Assembly. I'll bounce off of your thing, because apparently, we are different that way than New York and New Jersey, where we are House districts and Senate districts. And our House districts are a little smaller and and the Senate district encompasses several House districts. So every person in PA has a representative that works for them in Harrisburg, and they have a state senator who's supposed to represent them and work for them in Harrisburg. So let's get that educational moment right off the bat, and so that we're clear on how that works. We are not assembly people. We are representatives and senators, and those are the people who make the laws. and make the big decisions, and decide who they're going to tax or not tax. Those are the people who do that in Harrisburg. I am not a lifelong politician. I'm a teacher. I'm a mom. I know what it's like to get kicked down and have to pull yourself back up again. I know how hard it is to put food on the table. I have 3 boys. It's really hard to keep groceries and food. And, I know how much just raising the tax or raising the price of gas can hurt a working family. I experience it all myself. So I think that makes me very relatable to many people who feel these everyday issues affecting their lives.
6:31 Eastern Time here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This is the Kennedy Effect live with you for the 21st of August, 2022. We will be back with you live next week. That's the plan. And yet again, no currently scheduled guests next week. So it might be a free for all again. It might be a Sunday fun day again next week. We will not be with you over the Labor Day weekend. And then we should be with you straight through to general election day. Again, if you are a state or federal level candidate from anywhere in the United States and from either party, you are welcome here. Let's have a discussion in the chat and on Facebook. And if you are listening on the radio, I will give you the link a bit later on. In the chat is a Act Blue donate link for Jackie. I ask you to please consider it. No one knows how to stretch a dollar like a rural Democratic candidate in Pennsylvania. If you think campaigns and candidates just kind of spend money like it's going out of style, well, some of them do because they have it. But the ones who don't are usually, almost certainly, the Democratic nominees, and especially in the more rural areas. So nobody knows how to stretch a buck like a Democratic rural candidate for just about anything, by the way, from dog catcher to prime minister of the solar system. No one knows how to stretch a buck like these folks. If you're worried that your donation might get wasted, and you know what? It's not a ridiculous concern to have. We all have budgets, and we don't all, we don't budget for hundreds and thousands of dollars to go out to candidates every year. If you're considering donating to Jackie, I can guarantee you her and really any rural candidate, probably anywhere in the country, especially in the more red areas in this country, if you're a Democratic candidate, and quite honestly, if you're a Republican candidate in the blue areas, no one knows how to stretch a dollar like you folks. $5, $10, $20, $25, $50 to Jackie, $100 means the world to a candidate like that. So I ask you to please consider it. Hot101.net, our name is our web address, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and the TuneIn Radio app, and tell Alexa to play hot101.net wherever you might be on Facebook. That other side of information remains our home group Facebook page. If you ever miss any of our live programs, please be reminded our YouTube channel, that other side of information, youtube.com/that other side of information. Sometime this evening, tomorrow, probably before Wednesday. I think that's the latest it ever went. George will take this video, convert it to a format that plays on YouTube, and then you will be able to see it there. youtube.com/that other side of information. Best place to ever catch any of the program if you miss any of it live is our YouTube channel. And TCP, the Culture Professional. Keep an eye out for them. I think they might be back tomorrow morning. I think they may have taken a really good summer vacation, and God bless them. That's what summer's for. Because I haven't been seeing the morning show, but you know what? Just check out TCP. Even if they don't return tomorrow morning, there's so much video library. There's so much incredibly just powerful, some fun, some playful, some sports, and then some deep, like really interesting, really powerful stories and video that I think you should be checking out at TCP. the cultured professional. I will put the phone number up on the screen in just a couple seconds. I'm actually responding to someone in the chat. The chat has been brilliant. You guys have been awesome. Uh, I'm just, it's funny. I guess like not haha funny, but like odd funny. It's but sometimes I plan these shows, I put the announcements out, I say who's going to join us, and sometimes they're big, some big names. They're names that you know and names that you recognize, and sometimes they're names that you don't, and that's cool too. Authors and members of the faith community and scientists and historians and in the chat, for whatever reason, it's kind of like okay, the same number of people seem to generally watch every week. It ticks up ever so slightly, and that's cool, that's great. But it's interesting, tonight the chat is like flying, and it's been in some of the higher numbers that I've seen in quite a while, which is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So that said, Jackie stepped away, so that's cool. I do want to let me put the phone number. I should put the phone number up. I'll put the phone number up. Let me do
I'm
that.
back.
You're back.
Yes.
You're playing with it. Well, good for you. You know what? I gotta say, that sounds really good. I should not be drinking coffee this time of night, but I gotta tell you, sounds pretty darn good.
The
Tell me,
candidate's main food.
your blood, your blood, a candidate's blood is coffee. Let me get the number up. Sure, Randall will ring us in no time. How funny. I started typing and I almost put my own cell number in there. You guys don't want that. You don't want that. All right, Jackie, what's the biggest thing that people are saying back to you when you are on the campaign trail? Kind of an easy, hosty question to say, but you're out there, you introduce yourself, you shake hands, and the first thing people complain about and or want to talk about is what?
Usually healthcare as an issue. I have 5 counties that have different needs. For instance, Pike County, their number one concern is their lack of a hospital or a medical center. An entire county without a medical center or without a hospital is ridiculous. So for that county, that's a number one issue. Then here in Susquehanna County, our infrastructure is pretty well destroyed. We all just can't stand these roads. The bridges are destroyed. The roads are destroyed. It's something we all deal with. Each county has unique needs. Some of my counties have the Susquehanna River running through them. Flooding in the Luzerne County, in the Wilkes-Barre, Kingston area is always a concern with infrastructure with that. And then on Pike County and Wayne County, they have the Delaware River. And both of these rivers are vitally important because they are the watersheds to the Delaware Bay and the Chesapeake Bay. Wayne County and Pike County do not want fracking in their region. They want to keep the Delaware River clean.
Let me cut you off really quick there, at the risk of let me just, because you really sent something into my brain. Margie mentioned it in the chat. I think she's 100% right. Healthcare is always a winning. I think it's always a winning topic. I think most people, even Republicans, know, even some self-identified Republicans. Again, I don't think there are any real ones. I think there are people who think they are because dad was, or because that's how I was always taught how to vote, blah, 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 blah. So there's that. But do folks understand, really, I guess it's a 2-part question. Do folks understand when you talk about fracking, especially in the Wayne and Pike and I know it's not part of your territory, but Monroe areas along the Delaware River, do they know either, both, neither of the two things I want to ask you? Just how adversely fracking can affect their health? And I would say the same for Susquehanna, which is basically just a big fracking well at this point. And do the folks in Wayne, Pike, again, I know Monroe is not part of your territory, or not part of the district, but I would say Monroe just for the sake of the discussion. Do they know that it's really New Jersey that has spared them from fracking? Because the PA government has done nothing to stop it. Both parties, to be fair, have done nothing to keep those counties from being fracking wells the same way that Susquehanna has become. Susquehanna essentially has, I want to be careful how I say this. I don't want to say it has nothing going for it, but just a bit, the whole county's a big damn fracking well right now.
It's an industrial count. It's just industrial zone. And it still looks like pretty rural country land, but every inch has been fracked. And there's compressor stations and wells everywhere. And I do a lot of study and research myself on the effects of fracking and the health. And I work with the Pennsylvania's Physicians for Social Responsibility so that we can find out what exactly is going on with our quality of our air and our water. I keep up with the Delaware River Keepers. And my opponent my opponent from 2020, Senator Yaw, and my opponent this year both tried to sue to go ahead and frack, even after they got a ban on fracking along the Delaware River. It's my opponents who wanted to sue to try to frack more. And why do they do that? Because guess where they get money from? Gas and oil industries.
Do folks understand the connection between fracking and their health? Do you find that?
No. It's a huge educational thing that we are trying to do right now, is to let the public know. It's very hard sometimes to find the data. And our DEP, has dropped regulations to accommodate these biggest, nastiest industries that pollute our land. People who have faced it front on, people whose well water is destroyed and they can't drink it, they understand. But I don't think most people understand how dangerous it is to our health. There is no safe fracking, unfortunately. And
to the folks in those Delaware River counties, because Susquehanna's done now. It's a pincushion. It's a well. It's just a big well. It's a big well. It's done. It's not going to disappear from Susquehanna anytime soon. Do Wayne, Pike, and Monroe realize, from an educational standpoint, that it is the state across the river that is keeping them from fracking, not their own state?
I think many people who live along the Delaware River, many have places in Pennsylvania along the Delaware River, and they also may have homes in New Jersey and New York as well. I think a lot of them do understand, and there is a lot of community action that goes on to educate the public about how important the river is and that it's not fracked. I think there's a lot of groups there that really work hard to try to educate people about what's happening and why we can't be fracked there. I kind of think a lot of people there, because they have the New York and New Jersey connections, they may understand a little bit more. Over here, Susquehanna County, Wyoming County, and Luzerne County, the Susquehanna River flows through all the way to the Chesapeake Bay. This is where the fracking is. These are the people here who have been lied to by the companies themselves. We've been lied to over and over since they moved in. They, promising it's safe. Meanwhile, the research shows you shouldn't be living near a well or a compressor station. You shouldn't be within a half a mile of these places, at least. And yet they're right next to schools and homes, literally, bumped up to them. So there are people here that do not understand how dangerous it is. They may have inherited a big family farm, and so they are racking up, money in royalties. And I guess as many people across the country feel, money is more important than anything else. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of people feel, just bring in the money. We don't want to hear about the health effects. We don't care until maybe it personally touches them. Now, I know there are farmers who some are upset because their farmland and their farm water is getting destroyed by the fracking. But I still don't think here in these counties, they don't understand that it's the leaders in Harrisburg that they keep voting for. These are the people who are letting this happen, and we need change about it. And so I see, very different areas and very different thoughts and different levels of education on fracking and the health impacts.
There are a lot of folks inside Pennsylvania who happen to agree with, support fracking and fossil fuel extraction. I happen to think they're wrong. I happen to think they're nuts, but that's okay. They have every right in the world to feel that way. Do they understand? Or have you found? Because I find almost no one gets this. Hell, there's even Democrats that don't get this. But it seems that a precious few people understand that the fracked gas from Pennsylvania doesn't stay here. That nearly 100% of it is sent in any one of the myriad of pipelines that we have. We can't even count them all. I think there are 17 different pipelines that just go through Lower Saucon Township and then go to Philadelphia, where it's loaded and shipped overseas, predominantly Japan, China, but some to Europe as well, that they use largely for industry. Does anyone know that? That you have found?
I don't think they understand that. I don't think they understand how that works at all.
Because I think people think that the Commonwealth is getting rich off of this, when in fact, let me use a story or an allegory that I've used on this program 1,000 times before. Jackie and I live next door to each other, and she has a garden. She grows tomatoes and peppers and, herbs and whatever. Garden stuff. Where did I get that from? But, she grows things in her gardens, tomatoes and peppers and onions and, kind of the, if you will, the more normal things that you would grow in a backyard garden. I dig under her fence, steal all of everything that she grows, and then I take it somewhere else and sell it, and I keep all the money. I don't even use it. I don't take the tomatoes and eat them for myself. I sell them. Isn't that basically what's happening in Pennsylvania? That the wealth is quite literally being extracted out from under our feet. The companies themselves are paying nothing. You mentioned royalties. I get it. You're talking about a tiny percentage of the money that they're making. They don't do any environmental cleanup or remediation or anything until the well runs dry. Then they cap it and run away. Well, if you're lucky, they cap it. They don't even always do that. And then they run away off to the next well. Does anyone in Pennsylvania, outside of you, me, Kristin, and a preciously small handful of other folks, understand what really is happening here when it comes to fracking?
Nope. And like I said, when the companies moved in, we were all lied to. The communities were lied to You know, people were lied to, sign your life away, you'll be rich. We heard all kinds of stories that they were going to pave all the roads when they moved in. That we would get access to this natural gas since it's here, that, you know, our schools and everything else would be hooked up to it. Well, none of that's true. And it's not, you're right, it's not staying here at all. It's not here at all. It's not helping us here at all.
Exactly.
And these wells only have about a 10-year life. And once the cement casing starts to break down, there will be more leaking and more environmental damage in the future.
Because
And
interestingly enough, as I understand it, I am not an engineer of these, and nor would I ever consider myself an expert in fracking. I don't play one on the radio. I'm not trying to tell you folks anywhere around the world that I am an expert in fracking. My understanding is that the chemicals, gases, residuals, if you will, left underneath these quote unquote capped wells actually eat away the cap. So Margie mentions in the chat that the fossil fuel companies have to pay up front to cap the wells when they drill them. Awesome. Great. They should be shouldering that. That's a business expense. They should be shouldering that cost. My understanding is, though, the remainder of what's kind of swimming around in that well, the radon, the radioactivity, especially the radioactivity, because radioactive materials eat everything. So even if they cap it off with concrete or whatever the hell they cap it off with, and again, I don't know, the radioactive material just eats the cap away. And then it continues to leach. Is that your understanding, or am I off?
now they use all kinds of radioactive chemicals in the process.
In the fracking process.
In the fracking process,
The
right?
water, the fracking water that's used is not radioactive when it is first injected into the Marcellus Shale, but it is when it comes back out.
Right. And what they're doing is taking, you know, millions and billions of gallons of water out of our rivers to use in the fracking process. So they take the water, use it in the fracking process. When they're done, there are tank trucks all over every little country road, every state road, everywhere. And they're labeled residual waste. Residual waste. So where are they going to dump the residual waste at?
Right. I agree.
Also, they're pulling chemicals out. And, you know, before we have a big snowstorm and they go and treat the roads, that brine that they are putting down on the roads before a snowstorm is radioactive.
Yes.
And also running off into our groundwater and everything else. I
Understood.
don't want radioactive water. I want radioactive.
People, you know, we think we sometimes look, it's a bad way to think of it, folks. It's not a constructive way to think of this. But you know, The Simpsons has been on TV for 30 something years. I mean, we think they take the sweeping view of Springfield on the way in, and there's the big water pipe dumping water into Springfield Lake, and then you see the three-eyed fish. I mean, we're not necessarily, I mean, we're not exactly talking about that, but we're not too damn far away from it. I mean, these are radioactive materials. It's the same reason that lead is the only thing that generally protects you from radioactive materials, or why that the leftover radioactive material from nuclear power plants has to be taken to a salt flat miles and miles underneath the ground and stored, because nothing protects you from the radiation. The steel barrel that the spent rods is kept in does not protect you. Sure as hell, putting it in a water tanker truck and spraying it on a road to try to prevent it from icing sure as hell isn't protecting you. Radioactivity, what radioactive isotopes actually do, no exaggeration, is literally tear the DNA. It's like shooting a bullet through a plane of glass. It actually tears the fundamental structure of DNA, rips the helix structure apart. That's where you get mutations from. That's where you get sickness from. It eats your own flesh apart. Not like some kind of special Hollywood effects movie where you're melting or something. It changes your physiology. It's radioactivity. It is why it is as dangerous as it is. It's why that even with the very minimal amount of radioactivity you are exposed to during an X-ray, you can only do so many X-rays within a given amount of time because your body literally isn't capable to handle it. The one thing that the human body is not constructed, designed to handle, even in small doses continuously over a long period of time, is radioactivity. When you go outside and you get a sunburn, it's really a form of radioactivity. It's a form of a radioactive burn. It's ultraviolet light burning the skin. It's a form of radioactivity. The biggest thing that astronauts at the International Space Station have to protect themselves from is radioactivity. One of the largest things that's keeping us from colonizing Mars and the moon is radioactivity. It does. The moon and Mars don't have the Van Allen belts. They don't have the magnetic field to protect themselves from the solar winds, which are highly radioactive. So this is a very fundamental thing. You inject this river water down into these layers of slate-like rock to separate them and crack them, frack them, and suck all of that back up, and the gas comes back with it. Well, so does radioactivity. Area code 814. I have a feeling I know who it is, but I will ask anyway. Area code 814. First name and where are you calling from, please? And then chat, folks who are listening, or folks on the radio, if you don't hear the caller, please scream at me. We fixed the phones. We had a successful phone call last week. If you don't hear whoever is on the line, give me a quick shout in the chat. We'll try to get this phone line fixed. 814, first name, where are you calling from?
Bobby Joe from Brockway, Pennsylvania.
The airwaves are yours. Bobby Joe, say hi to Jackie. Feel free to ask your question.
Hi, Jackie. Yeah, I heard you mention earlier that you were involved with an Indivisible group. I recently founded a new Indivisible group, and I'd love to hear more about your time with that.
Yes, it was the very first group I went to after the 2016 election was such a disaster. And looking out for what can I do? How can I get involved? I think it was like a NEPA Indivisible group that I found. I downloaded the whole plan on how to fight back on Trump's harmful policies, read it, and then we used it. We formed a local small women's group that was made up of Democrats and independents and women who were just, scared to death because Trump had won at this moment. What are we going to do? How are we going to activate people? How are we going to inform people? And so it kind of was the springboard for that. And yeah, so I think it was it was definitely my very first thing I went to. And I'm a part of on Facebook a few different Indivisible groups from around PA. I still see what's happening, and I found it, just as a great outline. It was just a great document that was created way back there and in the beginning after early 2017. That was the very first thing, and it really helped kind of motivate me and give me direction as well as how we fight back. And
well, you can find me. We have Indivisible Mayday. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we have an Instagram. Indivisible Mayday. We're doing a lot.
Great. I'll check you out. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Bobby Joe, let me ask you before you go.
Yep.
especially for candidates like Jackie, which is not to single her out, but obviously she's the one that's here, so we use her as the face of this question. How important do you believe groups like Indivisible or my group, an Our Revolution, a MoveOn.org, a PDA, Progressive Democrats of America, how important do you think that these groups are or continue to be in the political process?
I might be a little bit biased.
I suspect
and
I'm
like I said,
biased. I'm Sergel biased. I think Our Revolution's brilliant, but that said,
yeah,
you know,
and
like from just
given
from
this
a
is brand new.
not a bone standpoint. I know what I meant there. That wasn't the right way. From a foundational standpoint, so to speak, you know, it seems like every presidential election brings us a group. You know, Move On, I have to say, was a little more, I think, holistic, I guess. We had the Occupy movement. Indivisible is largely a quote unquote leftover of the Clinton campaign. We had Organizing for America from the Obama campaigns. Our Revolution is from the Bernie Sanders campaign. The Warren Democrats is from the Elizabeth Warren campaign. But how important do you think that these groups are, especially to the underfunded candidates, especially to the rural candidates? Where does as a proud Indivisible member yourself, where does Indivisible fit into the group for you? Where does it fit? How important is it?
Like I said, I might be biased, but I feel like the work we're doing and the way we're motivating, we have a group of 500 members right now, and we formed the day after Roe was overturned. We're canvassing, we're writing postcards, we're holding a Q&A with Mike Molkovich tomorrow. We've had 3 protests so far. I spoke with I tried to speak with Dr. Oz yesterday. I tried to speak with Doug Monstriano yesterday. We have a video on Twitter with over 80K views on it right now. We're getting a lot of messages out. And I think the work we're doing is really important, especially in rural areas where the Democrats don't necessarily get as much funding. They really need the extra help and the extra boost of support, especially now.
Now, I postulated, I'm going to ask you another question while I have you here, because darn it, I'm the host of the program. So I'm going to ask you another question anyway. I postulated earlier on in the program that when we were talking about poll results throughout the country, that folks are more, I think, you might disagree. I think folks are more tuned in, shall we say, to this election at an earlier date than normal. Are you finding that? Would you agree? Given the number of, when we look at these polls, the percentage of people who are identifying as undecided or not planning to vote are pretty low. And it seems like folks have they've made their decision, they've migrated into their camps, so to speak, a bit earlier than I can remember. I'm sure my memory could easily be questioned, but in my estimation, in my opinion, do you agree with that? Do you find that there are more and more folks are like dialed in to what's happening in this election than you would normally be 10 days before the end of August?
In my personal experience, from what I've experienced since we founded our group, the first protest that we held, we had people showing up who were in their 30s that had never been registered to vote. And we registered them to vote, and they showed up. Roe is going to be a major motivator, and I'd say that's probably why we have more people paying attention right now.
Awesome. I'm glad that they are. I mean, it's, you know, some of these phrases, catchphrases even, if you will, are cliche to an extent, but they become that way for a reason. among said cliches is at a range of different protests after the official Supreme Court Roe decision actually came down. Not the leaked one, but the actual day of decision.
Mhm.
I heard quite a number of people, and I can understand this point of view, by the way. I wholly disagree with it, but I understand it. Damn it. We voted and we rallied and we marched and we raised money and we registered voters and we showed up and we voted and we still lost. So I'm done. I'm going home. Well, nothing. When has anything ever been accomplished by not voting? Any thoughts?
I think that has a lot to do with the language being used. I think when you talk about Roe being overturned, you can't talk like that's the end of it, because the plans go further than that. They plan to completely dismantle reproductive care. And when you say that, it's more motivating. And I have seen people that have been disenfranchised by Roe overturning and said that what the same sentiment you said. I have voted, and this is where we're at. And you need to remind them that next they're coming for our birth control, and it's not going to stop at Roe. It's not going to stop at abortion.
One more cliche that I would like to get your opinion on as an organizer, activist, et cetera, especially since Jackie ran off probably for yet another cup of coffee. No, I'm kidding. I'm just teasing.
I'm
No-
here.
Nothing changes until we change it. Bobby Joe, true or not?
I guess that depends. I think a lot of the change we're going to have to force our way through, and a lot of us are willing to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, but doesn't that kind of nothing changes until we change it? When I think about when Jackie's talking about being on the campaign trail and folks who don't know or don't care that Republicans have been in control for 40 years and saying you suck. Well, nothing changes until we change it. On what, in what any logical stream of thought would re-electing Lisa Baker change anything? That's exactly the point. Nothing changes. You hate this, you hate that, you're mad about this, you can't get any relief for this, you can't get help with this, so we'll send the same people back. Nothing changes until we change it. Am I missing something or no?
No, I kind of had that conversation with my pizza delivery guy today. I'm a bit of a crazy person. If he was
Which shows there's never a bad time to have a conversation in it.
There's not. I've had this conversation
Right,
time and time again. And he said no, and I asked him why, and he said because I don't think that my vote matters. I think they do what they want anyways. And my response to that is always, listen, if it didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying to restrict voter access as much as they are.
Oh goodness, I say that. See, that's one I say all the time. If your vote
The money
was so meaningless, which is another, let's be honest, we're talking about conflicting messages here. Very intentionally conflicted messages. If your vote was so meaningless and was so small and one vote doesn't make a difference, I got that would, but yet we'll try to, and we'll try to continue to tell you that vote is meaningless. It's not, stay home. You can't change anything all by yourself. At the same time, on the other side, I'm trying to steal it from you.
Mm-hmm. I registered that man to vote, by the way.
Nice.
I
will tell you, this is not related to anything, and I will let Jackie. After the general election, I'm trying to plan a show, if not multiple parts of a show. We just want PCPs on the show. Precinct committee people from anywhere. I don't care where they're from. I also don't care what party they are, to be honest with you. Because I have said here, you will hear Tom Hartman say this all the time, Jefferson Smith, Stephanie Miller, Michelangelo Senior. If you're not happy with what's going on in your party, then get inside it and fix it. And the best place to do that, and the starting place to do that, is precinct committee person. And you start changing what's going on. And what you just mentioned is a very Bobby Joe, what you just mentioned is a very PCP type action to take. That there's never a bad time to have a congenial, respectful conversation, and we're always looking to get people involved in the political process. So I have to think about that, and I have to continue to work on that after the general election, when everybody just needs to take a breath, and we're going to have a lot of showtime to fill up, because who the hell wants to talk about politics right after an election? But we'll have to talk about that, about the work, the so-called ground level work of political parties. And again, either one, I'm just as interested to hear from Republican PCPs. And when we feel defeated and outnumbered in the rural areas in PA as Democrats, imagine how the Republicans feel in the middle of Manhattan or the middle of Philadelphia. So it does go both ways, just to be fair. But that said, Bobby, thank you. What else do you have for Jackie before we only can take one call at a time. So what else might you have for Jackie before I open up again?
Well, I actually wanted to join you today to tell a little bit of a story about my happenings for the last week.
Quickly, if you wouldn't mind, and not to be rude, just please go for it. Do we lose you? Uh-oh. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us your fun adventures.
Friday morning, Dr. Oz was scheduled to attend an event at a local restaurant in Du Bois, Pennsylvania. Very red rural area. He was not expecting to meet opposition. I'm the first person he shook hands with, and the first question I asked him is why he would put salsa on a veggie tray. And then he proceeded to run away from me. His staff physically blocked me from having any interaction with him. He ran out of the restaurant, and there's video on our Twitter, Indivisible Mayday. You can see of him literally running down the street as we're screaming after him what his views on abortion are, and he refused to answer any of those questions. And then yesterday, we went to a Doug Mastriano event where his staffers, who we have identified as known oath keepers, pointed me out, told me that they knew who I was, had pictures of me, and were ready for me to attend that event that day. I asked Doug Mastriano if he would disavow his white supremacist supporters. He refused to answer. I asked him why he advertised on Gab. He again refused to answer, and we were essentially escorted out. At which point, one of his Oath Keeper staffers came and made a point to say they were taking pictures of our faces so that they knew who we were.
That sounds like freedom to me, doesn't it?
It sounds like democracy in action. And I'll tell you what, our
well, I want to take that. I want to ask you that though from an ironic standpoint. And Jackie will appreciate this. Let me ask you this from an ironic standpoint.
Yes.
That open suppression of free speech from the guy who wraps himself in a Bible and a Constitution and a flag and can't read any one of them, by the way, or at least hasn't in any conventional academic way. That sounds like freedom to me, doesn't it?
If you go watch the video, actually, you can hear me saying over and over again, because the staff are literally pushing me and blocking me. And I'm saying, hey, I'm just trying to walk as a free person here. I'm just trying to walk as a free person here.
Fantastic.
So the irony was not lost on me.
Fantastic.
And when they told me I could take a picture with them, I said, do you understand the irony of not letting me take a picture, sir, for the campaign that runs on freedom?
Well, I guess you don't have the bodily autonomy to walk where you wish. You're just a woman. No. After all.
Only white men are free for Doug Mastriano.
Exactly. Bobby.
You can find all of these videos. They're very entertaining.
if you can put links to them in the chat, please feel free to do so. You are welcome to do so.
I absolutely will.
Bobby, I don't want to cut you off. I think there's other people trying to get in. I'm getting messages that the phone line's open. So you rock. You can always call this program. I have
I
officially,
absolutely will. I'm glad I found you.
I have sent my official notification to try to join your group. I expect swift and I demand swift approach and I don't know.
We'll
What the
let
hell.
you walk
Don't
free
let-
man into our.
Yeah, let me walk it as a free person into Indivisible Mayday. That'd be brilliant, would you? So anyway, yeah, let me say
Excellent.
good.
Thank you for your time.
All right, you got it. Thanks so much then.
Bye.
Okay, someone else. Area code 570, first name and where are you calling from, please?
This is Ashley, and I am calling from Mecklenburg, Union County.
Okay, I need to quickly text Kristin down in the kitchen to see if it's snowing. Oh, I can't see because of the curtains.
Hello, Ashley.
Hi, Kristen.
That's Jackie. Kristin is downstairs. It's got to be snowing, man. It's got to be snowing. Ashley Shea called my program. It's going to rain. This is one of the 7 signs of the apocalypse. I swear to God, the 4 horsemen are riding right through Society Hill as we speak. That's hilarious. I know, it makes it sound like I know. It's like, I'm following you for, it's too funny. Go ahead. What do you got? It's all yours.
Kansas had more than 1.5 times turnout during the primary election due to them beating the drum of refusal to strip abortion rights. And I wanted to also ask Jackie what her response was from those she's spoken to regarding abortion.
Good question, Jackie. Go ahead, Jackie. Is abortion an issue? Do you hear about it as you have been campaigning? Have you been forced to? Well, you said that you haven't had like a lot of unpleasant exchanges with anyone, that even the differences have been respectful conversations. So what is abortion something that you're hearing about? What about it are you hearing, et cetera, et cetera? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very, very high important factor in this election, and it's really driving people to get involved and to pay attention. We've had a lot of voters who again could be in the opposite party, but this is a step too far. It's a step too far. We're trying to ban abortion completely. We already have a problem in our country with a high mortality rate for mothers, and this is just going to make it even worse. And we already don't have enough maternal health services for pregnant women. We don't have enough healthcare centers. We don't have enough reproductive, doctors and clinics as it is. Yes, this is really, really, I think the top 2 issues right now is abortion and protecting our votes, making sure our votes are counted.
All right,
Well,
Ashley.
it would be very interesting to see that in rural counties like where you are running, you mentioned that one didn't have a hospital at all. What is the infant mortality rate and the maternal mortality rate in those counties? Is it different than the rest of Pennsylvania?
Right. Well, I know, personally, I know exactly when I had my last child. He just turned 8, and
he is a rock star, by the way.
yeah,
He is the brains behind this campaign, Jackie Baker. Let me tell you right now.
Yes, Jeff and Kristin have had the pleasure to meet him. Yes. So where was I? Oh yeah. So, we're limited to, I was limited to my husband's insurance company, even though I live maybe 20 minutes from a hospital, but unfortunately it's across the border in New York State. I can't use that hospital because my insurance won't allow me to do that. If a friend of mine had an emergency, high risk pregnancy. No time to get, 2 hours to Wilkes-Barre or Scranton or Danville or Allentown or anywhere. You don't have time to get to these places. So if you do go to a hospital that's not in your network, you're going to spend the rest of your life paying off tens of thousands of dollars in hospital bills. Many people in the county that don't have the hospital in Pike, again, they have to cross state lines. Many of them have jobs or had careers that were in New York and New Jersey, and they have insurance that they can use in those places. Not everybody, but some people. But that is like the number one issue in Pike County is where is our hospitals? Where's our health system? It's extremely
and how that affects all other things.
right. And I know what it's like to be in labor and have to travel 45 minutes to a clinic, then get checked out and drive another hour to get to the hospital to deliver a baby where I don't even know the doctor because it's just treated as like, in and out, deliver that baby and off you go, deliver that baby and off you go.
And many times women in high risk situations don't have 45 minutes to
Right.
get to a physician.
Exactly. It's extremely dangerous.
Thanks for taking my call, Jeff, and taking my question.
Hey, before you disappear, tell people the good news about what happened in Union County. I think it was either today or yesterday.
We opened yesterday. We have a Union County Democratic headquarters in Union County in Lewisburg. We only have it until November. Just a little pop-up, cute little storefront. We're having a great time. We're going to be doing some phone banking, some canvassing, signs, buttons, lit, getting to know people, getting out the vote.
Don't say that as a small thing. It's only there till the election. It's not a small thing that you did, especially in a county. I don't have to tell you, you live there. Like Union, especially in a county like Union. The Lehigh County Democratic Committee does not have a permanent home. The Northampton County Democratic Committee does not have a permanent home. I'm pretty sure the Monroe County Democratic Committee does not have a permanent home. So the fact that you have, in fact, we don't have a home, period, let alone a permanent one. So your pop-up store, I think your pop-up store with that big, beautiful front window would be a lovely place to broadcast live from. I did see it. I did see it. I didn't know you could lift him. He's a pretty big dude. That was pretty awesome of you.
That's his actual height.
Right.
He's nearly double my height. I just want to say.
I think that front, Mike Laws corrects me. The Monroe County Party does have a permanent home. Good for them. Northampton doesn't. Lehigh doesn't. We should. We're pretty damn big, important counties. That said, thank you, because I always want to be corrected when I get something wrong. I want to learn things, and I want to be corrected when I get something wrong. So I thank Mike for that. I think that big, beautiful storefront window, Ashley Shea, would be a wonderful place to broadcast the show from live one of these nights and let folks come right up to that window and cheer, yell, disagree, agree, throw tomatoes at me, whatever.
He's from Lewisburg area, so
I'm just saying we should.
I mean, I could try.
It's a thought. I'm just putting it out there. It's a thought. First remote broadcast that would be, by the way. I've never broadcasted anywhere other than this house. That would be awesome. Just saying.
I'll see. And Kristin, though, because I wouldn't like to in without Kristin.
Well, I know. I don't go anywhere without Kristin. Nobody lets me in without Kristin. That's the way it's supposed to be. I can't get into a Wegner's without Kristin. Just saying.
You'll notice in one of the pictures of the HQ, there is a styrofoam plate taped to the wall with a piece of celery and a carrot on it.
Nice.
Next to Fetterman.
Well played.
It's true to say.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I mean, look, when I go to I almost said Wegmans again. Now it's going to start to be a habit. That's going to be a bad habit too. When I go to Wegmans, look, they reckon when Kristin walks into Wegmans, it's like Norm walking into Cheers. I mean, they know here comes Kristin. We need to get everything organic, gluten-free, ready for her. Here she comes. But when I walk in and say, you don't know anything about any of this stuff. You're not allowed in the produce section. You go over to the ramen noodle, to the to the 35-cent ramen noodle section, you can go over there. She's the one that knows about the gluten-free and the organic and all the good stuff for you. You go to the junk food aisle, and that's pretty much where I go, to the junk food aisle. That's what I know about really well. I'm really good at crisps. I'm really good at
Stuff together.
oh, totally. Absolutely. Got to be good fish and chips up there somewhere, I should think. We'll see. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Jackie, I want to ask you about abortion. I have a position that has not been always taken. It's not always been taken the right way. It's not always been taken as even a position that a lot of women can agree with. So you're a mom and a woman. So I'm glad you're sitting down. In case you didn't know that, you're a mom and a woman. But I want to ask you about this because I happen to think that it's the position that a lot of people take. And I very well could have that wrong, but I happen to think it's a position that more people take than we want to admit, and more people take than we might think. Obviously, I'm a male. If Kristin gets pregnant and gets herself in a position, or gets herself, Jesus, I just said that the wrong way. If Kristin should become pregnant and we found ourselves in a position where she may have to face the decision of having an abortion, the idea of abortion, generally speaking, kind of makes me a little queasy. Like it's a disturbing thought to me. I wish no woman in the world would ever have to face that choice, and for any reason, whether it's the health or lack of health of the baby. We've seen stories about women who are literally carrying dead fetuses around and can't do them because of the draconian measures that have been taken in their home states. Severe genetic defectiveness or illness, life of the mother, that the baby, the fetus is actually causing bodily reactions in the body of the woman that won't allow her to live. Or just someone who just doesn't, who may have taken every precaution and still got pregnant and just doesn't want to be pregnant, whatever state of things. The idea of that actually makes me kind of queasy. Like, just the idea of the termination of a pregnancy is kind of like, for me. But at the end of the day, it's not up to me, because it's not my body. I don't have the right to tell Kristin what to do with her body unless she asks me. And it seems to me that there's a lot of folks that tend to have that particular opinion. When you mentioned to Ashley that this position is a bridge too far, is that kind of how, I don't want to say, is that how you feel? I'm not trying to ask if you agree with me. I'm simply, is that the kind of the most of the feedback that you're getting out on the trail? Is like, look, the idea of an abortion kind of makes me a little grossed out, but it ain't up to me. Why are we telling these women what they can and can't do with their bodies? This is nuts. Is that kind of the general, are there more of me than I think there might be? Is that, or do you hear that?
Yes, the decision to have an abortion, to be in that situation, I can't personally ever imagine, because I haven't had to be in that position. And I don't know what I would do if I were in that position. It's an extremely personal, private thing to discuss with your doctor. And it's the woman's right. And yes, nobody wants to think about losing a child. No one wants to have to go through making a tough decision to have an abortion. But women have to make the decision themselves, because that is a decision that can affect the rest of their lives. It can affect if they get to go to school or pursue a career they want to, or travel, or their whole life's trajectory can can be changed. And they need to make that decision. Every woman needs to make that decision for herself, because every circumstance is different. Every pregnancy is different. The health of each and one of us is different. We all have different, bodies and everything else. So even one woman has multiple pregnancies. Each pregnancy is different. You don't know what you're going to get. I always say, when you're pregnant, expect the unexpected. You just don't know what's going to happen. It is a medical condition. And the thought of that is very scary. And it feels like, it's heartbreaking that a woman would have to be in that position. But I understand that is their decision. They have to make that decision for themselves. And most people agree with that, regardless of their own personal beliefs. They understand that a woman has to make her own decision.
Jackie, I know you have to leave us. The remainder of your time with us is yours. Please tell everyone how to find you, follow you, donate, where you're going to be, campaign info, and of course, if there's anything that we didn't get to talk about that you wanted to mention, or any answer to some question that maybe you didn't feel was complete, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks. Thanks to all the listeners who joined in, and everyone who was participating in the chat. We've had a great discussion. Jeff always has a great show. So glad you can all make it. To learn more about my campaign, you can go to my website. It's JackieBaker4PA.org. That's FOR 4PA. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. You can find me, Jackie Baker 4PA. I am usually out and about within the 5 counties that my senatorial district would cover. Canvassing, door knocking, volunteering. We need contributions. This is a grassroots campaign. So like Jeff said earlier, any $5, $10, anything helps. We use it very, very wisely. No wasting of any dollars. And your support really means a lot. We need to flip this PA legislature this year. Our lives, our futures, our health, everything depends on it. Our rights depend on it. It's so vitally important. If you're listening anywhere, please, try to look into our PA candidates. If you can support us anyway, we really need help. We do have some offices opening also in Pike County. There's a Democratic headquarters opening in Milford, where I will spend some time. You could find my materials there. Also in Tunkhannock in Wyoming County. Excuse me.
There's somebody calling you right now for money.
Yeah. So we'll have an office and supplies in Tunkhannock in Wyoming County. In Honesdale in Wayne County, they have an office opening up for Democrats there as well. You can learn all about your candidates. You can pick up materials. You can volunteer. You can canvass, make phone calls, fill out postcards. And then in Luzerne County, we have a headquarters right in Public Square in Wilkes-Barre. Again, all my materials and things will be there. So it's JackieBaker4PA.org, and look me up. Send me emails. We're happy to hear from anybody. And thanks so much for your time.
Always, that you can always come here anytime that you wish. You have an open door. You know that. So,
Yes.
And I'm sure that we'll speak to you again before Election Day. So you are welcome here anytime that you wish. Thank you for a good long time, actually. I think it was almost 2 hours. So thank you for being here. And you stay safe up there, and take care of my new best friend up there.
Yep, I will. He just got home. He's eating his Happy Meal, so he's happy.
Oh, geez. No wonder. That's why they call it a Happy Meal, because it makes everybody happy.
He's looking.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Have a great evening.
Yes.
267-227-9189. Phone line is open. 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. Wherever you might be across Facebook, 105 shares. Thank you for being there. Please keep in mind, because this happens a lot, that I don't, wherever you might be, So like that. There we go. Okay. Wherever you might be across Facebook, wherever you might be watching, if you are watching in the New Deal Democrats group, the AOC Progressives group, Lehigh Valley Progressive Network, all the For Our Future groups. I actually have quite a number of those. Northeast, Western, Central, PA. The Oregon groups, I seem to have a very fun listener base in Oregon, and that's cool. I don't care where the heck you're listening. The organizers, the Oregon Democrats, there's a DC, Metro DC DSA group, a Las Vegas Medicare for All group. Look, wherever you're listening, please know that I'm immensely grateful, immensely grateful. If you comment or ask a question anywhere else other than that other side of information, I don't get to see it. Your questions are important. Your comments are important. Whether you agree with me or not is not the point. The fact that you took time to check out our program, be a part of it, and actually make a comment, I don't want to miss any of that. It's our home group Facebook page where I will see all of it, that other side of information. You can watch in any of the groups that we share to. If you don't want to make a comment, you just want to listen, then God bless you, please do so. But I won't see it if it isn't in our home group Facebook page. So real quick, just want you to know that hot101.net website, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, TuneIn Radio app, and TCP, the Culture Professional. Look out for the morning show tomorrow morning. Randall, welcome to the program.
And don't forget, folks, you go, Alexa, play hot101.net.
I know, right?
And it will play in your home.
If you tripped off somebody's Alexa and I haven't done it yet, I'm going to be really upset. I'm going to be immaturely upset. I guarantee you that straight away.
Well, being a 70-year-old man, you are immature to me, brother.
Totally, I am. I'm a brat. No, I'm a brat, like too much. Aren't I? Kristin will probably tell you how much of a brat I can be in it.
As usual, Jeff. And I have not called in earlier because thank God somebody else called in.
Hey, check it out, huh? And I know we've had 3 people call into the program tonight, and I think pretty darn sure the world is still spinning on its axis. Just saying. Anyway, what do you got on your mind? What's on your mind?
Oh, I got a bunch of things on my mind.
Well, I know, just, you know.
I always got a bunch of things on my mind. Number one, the whole discussion we had on fracking here in PA.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm not an expert, but I am up on this stuff, fighting it since, 2016. And, you know, the residual, the fracking, they have to put water in high pressure to force the gases in the radioactive granite out and up into the wellhead.
Mm-hmm.
And that high pressure water, fracking water, it comes up, it's radioactive. It has to go somewhere. And Jackie, said the one way that's terribly used here in PA is that they treat the roads anti-ice in the winter. And that, leaches to both sides of the road into waterways, et cetera, et cetera. But the worst thing here in PA is most of that wastewater by our state government, our DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, allows that wastewater to be, even though it's radioactive, to be classified still as just wastewater.
Mm-hmm.
To go to municipal or for-profit wastewater treatment plants to eventually be released into tributaries, streams, rivers throughout PA, to eventually go down to Chesapeake Bay, Delaware Bay,
Mm-hmm.
Delaware River, Delaware Bay.
And I think it was last week. I want to say you mentioned this last week. I think you did. Or our guest did. Dr. Higgins may have mentioned it. Forgive me, I'm blanking a little bit right now. That Maryland and another state. Forgetting now. are suing Pennsylvania to stop the, I'll use a gentle term for it, the reintroduction of that water back into the public water.
It was the doctor last week that brought that up, and that is
Into the
true.
public waterways, because these other states know, they know that that water is radioactive. They know it's poisonous. Let's use a more simplified term for it. It's poisonous. And they know it. And they're suing Pennsylvania to stop that water from being dumped back into these waterways. You can clean sewage. We might not want to think about it, folks, but there are municipalities around the country that take sewage and clean it to a point where it can be reintroduced as drinking water. We may not want to think of it that way, but it's true. It's happening. You can desalinize water. The oil wealthy countries of the Middle East do this in tremendous volumes, not only to provide water to their populations, but to make their cities green. Green plants generally don't grow in a desert. You need lots of water for that. California is building desalination plants. Japan uses desalination. This isn't, you can't desalinize radioactivity. I know it sounds a little bit like a cartoon comic book kind of thing, you know, the X-Men. Radioactivity causes mutation. It destroys DNA. It destroys living tissue. That's what we're talking about here. It's not hyperbole. It's not, well, it is a red alert, but it's not yelling on top of the table, kicking, screaming, causing a scene. This is radioactivity. It kills living tissue. It mutates DNA. This is what we're talking about here. And why is this water being allowed to dump back into these waterways? One reason, and Randall knows this all too well. It is the concept of internalizing profit and externalizing all the costs. So the fossil fuel companies, in addition to the $3 billion in free money that they get from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania every year, the $550 billion of free money that they get nationwide every year to help their own costs. They pump, they drill, they siphon, they frack. They leave devastation in their wake. Poisoned waters, unfarmable land. I think I might have just made a word. Radioactivity, and then leave us, the public, to clean it up. And in states where they're willing to do that, they do it. PA, we don't do any of that. Heaven forbid. No. Die a quick radioactive death. It's costly to clean that stuff up. But it's the principle of internalizing the profits and externalizing the costs. So go ahead, Randall. I apologize.
No, there's no need to apologize. I'm glad you're educating your listeners worldwide about one issue that is just diabolical for profit of these multi-billion-dollar oil and gas companies. But in any case, Jeff, the other thing I wanted to reiterate on was that the reason fracking has been prevented so far, you kind of mentioned it, but you didn't quite mention it correctly. The reason fracking has been denied on the Pennsylvania side of the Delaware River headwater supplies, if you will, streams, runs, etc., is because really because of New York State and New Jersey.
And New Jersey. No, I said that earlier. The
Now,
reason
the New Jersey is the latest. But let me give you a little from the story back. My goodness, we are getting rain here. I love it.
it's about time, right? It's about
I love it, man. You know,
it's about time. That's the snow. That's the snow we were expecting because Ashley called.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to it, New York first. I don't know how many years ago it was. You know, one of these oil companies, gas companies, said they wanted to put a line. They wanted to frack in PA, up north, northeast PA.
Yep.
And put lines across to New York Harbor, for natural gas.
Right.
For export.
Right.
And New York said no.
Right.
And then last year, New Jersey said the same thing.
Because then the
No,
plan,
you're
because
not
then
gonna
the
put-
plan was to build the pipeline in the other direction. Fine. We'll just build a pipeline south.
Right.
And for whatever reason, here's the funny thing. I would have to ask Kristin this, and we'll have to have a discussion about it on a different show because she's not coming upstairs today. But that said, we the weird thing about the pipeline that it's Penn East, I think, is the one that New Jersey
Yep,
is
it was
most.
It was Penny. Yeah.
The weird thing is that the fracking is in Northeast PA, but for some unknown reason that I cannot quite understand, and that I haven't really had anyone explain to me yet. So I am talking from a bit of a lack of knowledge on this particular. So the pipeline was going to run from the fracking areas under the Delaware into New Jersey,
And they were going to use
south.
They were going to use the absolutely failure technology.
Yeah, but not even that. Not even that. My understanding of I know what you're saying. I get it. The cheap materials, state of the art 1880s technology. I get that bit.
No, it's not state of the art. No.
Well, yeah, for the 1880s it is.
They're drilling, and they're using drilling mud to coat, and then they're forcing and pulling a pipeline through under a river.
But
etc. And it's a failure technology. This is a new technology from 50 years ago. It's a failure technology. Just ask anybody here in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, where I live. Just ask anybody in Chester County, north of us. Just ask anybody along the 350-mile Mariner East pipelines of that failure of that good new technology. No, it's a complete failure. And all it does is fractures open up that drilling mud that contains chemicals that nobody even knows what's in it because it's a patent secret.
Right.
Pollute rivers, lakes. There's a big lake in Chester County that supplies major drinking water to, millions of people up there. It's contaminated.
But wasn't
along the Mariner East.
But wasn't
are polluted.
Wasn't the Penn East supposed to go under the Delaware twice?
I can't answer that question.
For some reason, my memory.
I would guess.
For some reason, my memory is telling me.
I would guess they're going to put two parallel lines under the Delaware River.
Yeah, for some reason, my memory is telling me one of the most idiotic things about Penn East is that it was going to go from the PA fracking counties under the Delaware into New Jersey south, and then back under the Delaware.
Oh, to PA.
To PA to be shipped out. And the line was actually going to go under the Delaware twice.
You know what?
And that's part of,
I'll have to do some research on that.
I
You know
have
what?
to, well,
That
I have
sounds,
to as well.
that sounds exactly like
Because I have,
an idiotic scheme
right.
for a for-profit company.
And I'm not saying that I have that 100% correct, but my memory is kind of informing me that that's one of the biggest reasons that Jersey was fighting it, because they're either the builders are pennies, they couldn't secure the land or something along. I must honestly tell you that I do not remember what that is, but it was scheduled to go under the Delaware twice, because
Okay,
what would be the logic?
I can answer that question.
What would be the logic of going under the river to Jersey when you're fracking it in PA? So
because-
take it down the PA side, but they were going into Jersey for some reason.
Because the Pennsylvania side is more developed of housing, of businesses, etc., than the New Jersey side along the Delaware. So therefore, they wouldn't have to pay as much money
That's what I thought it was.
to acquire the land.
And that might be the only land in Jersey that's cheaper than PA, to be honest. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, as on the, and which would include my original home county, Warren County, which is as red as it could be, and it's become poorer. People die earlier, mortality rates have gone up. The deeper red Warren County has become, I almost said the S word, the crappier it's become. It's just a fact. The data proves it too. Incomes have gone down.
There's a third
Dollar incomes, I should say.
there's a third part, not just New York canceling the pipeline going across their state.
Now,
Not New Jersey.
there's
a third element,
okay.
and that is that New York representative, New Jersey representative, and PA representative are equally on the Delaware River Basin Commission,
Yes.
whose job it is to regulate pollution
In the Delaware.
from the headwaters of New York
Mhm.
all the way down past Delaware State to the headwaters of the Delaware Bay. And they said their delegates or members of the Delaware River Basin Commission says, no, we're not idiots like PA is, unregulated PA.
Well, let me
You know,
build on that sort of. If you look at a map of the actual Marcellus shale deposit, I guess you would say, geological formation.
right.
And folks, if for folks listening around the country and around the world, it's a, if I could ask you to do a quick Google or DuckDuckGo either now or sometime after the program, you can find this pretty easy. Just look at where the Marcellus, it's called the Marcellus. I'll try to put it in the chat so you can spell it. Marcellus shale. It's a geological formation where all this natural gas is being fracked out from. There is a tiny bit, especially relative to Pennsylvania. None of the Marcellus goes into New Jersey, but a little bit of it on the northernmost bits. There's like a spike, like a peninsula almost, if you allow me to use that word, into New York State. Now, the cost and or value of the gas that might be in that little tiny bit of the Marcellus, it was a no-brainer for New York State. The potential wealth under the ground compared to all of the ancillary costs that would come with it, i.e. the environmental damage, the damage to the infrastructure, ruining farms, ruining forest land. New York quickly, very quickly, it was barely even a debate in New York State, said that there would be they banned fracking in all of New York State. At one point, the fracking companies in Pennsylvania offered, quote unquote, New York a deal. We can slant drill into the Marcellus into your state, but we never have to put a well there. And even New York shut that down. I will freely admit that, and because I've heard pro-fracking people say this, well, it's easy for New York to say they don't want it. They had almost nothing there. It wasn't a huge amount of money. It wasn't a huge amount of gas. You know what? I actually kind of agree with that. I actually think that makes sense. But given the over profitized society that we live in now, where every dime that you can beg, borrow, steal, drill for, pump for, anything. The fact that New York was willing to say, no, you know what? We don't need that. Thanks so much. We don't need to have that in our state. It's a powerful thing. I freely admit that it was easier for them to say it than it was for Pennsylvania, because we have the overwhelming amount of the Marcellus. And it was super easy for New Jersey to ban fracking. They have none. They don't have any. There's nothing in New Jersey to frack. They don't have the geological formations to frack. So, okay, it's easier for them. But I also think it's a statement of priority, if you will. It's a statement of values that simply because we have this thing does not mean that we need to destroy everything else just to get it. It's a value statement. I'm not, again, let me be clear. I'm not disputing the differences. We're literally, by the time it's all said and done, we're probably talking about trillions of dollars of wealth in the Marcellus. That's a lot easier than maybe to not, it's harder to pass that up than it is the maybe 50 billion or whatever that might have been in New York, or 10 billion or 5 billion. Honestly, I don't know. I get it. I get it. That said, it's still a statement of priority for me. It's still a statement of personal value, that not simply because we can do a thing means that we should do it. I think that's the dilemma. I think it's the question that Pennsylvania never asked itself. I think there were monetary forces trying to keep us from asking that question as a population, as a government. Government's super easy to buy off because the Supreme Court, a Republican Supreme Court, made it legal. But we didn't ask ourselves that. And I'm not sure that the people of Pennsylvania, and I was still living in New Jersey when fracking started here. I wonder if the people of Pennsylvania, if they had been given the truth, just the truth of what fracking really is and what it does, despite whatever jobs, and we can argue about that too, by the way. We if they had would have chosen the same thing, or if they would have at least said, fine, drill, but here's, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do that, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. Not the same thing. Not the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, but let me use this as an example anyway. When the first casino, well, it's the only casino in Bethlehem, but when the casino owners wanted to build a casino on the Bethlehem Steel property in Bethlehem, the county government and the local government, and to be fair, the state government, all said, okay. I'm paraphrasing, of course, I'm making it a little bit simpler. They own the land, they own the buildings, so they probably couldn't stop it, and I think they knew they couldn't stop it. But they did regulate the heck out of it. And they got commitments from the casino owners that you will rehab this land, you will take care of this, you will take care of that. And for the most part, that's exactly what's happened. For the most part, it hasn't been a perfect marriage. In my estimation, it's been a pretty darn good one. All the crime and the everything that everybody thought was going to come with the casino simply has not come. And it's generally been good for the area. So that's not exactly it's it's not exactly it's not a clean comparison, but it's one I hope that you will, all of you out there will kind of hear and maybe make sense of. I think you know what I'm trying to talk about, but go ahead, Randall. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think I just want to, I'll throw in a real quick thing we just said about the casino development up there on that brown land. One of the big stipulations was, over a century of Bethlehem Steel, which at one time was our biggest steel company in this country. The whole land around the plant was brownfield polluted. And that was one of the major things that had to be done. That the brownfield had to be cleaned up, capped off, to keep pollution of heavy metals, etc., coming, into the community.
You're fading on me. Where are you going?
I just wanted to agree with you.
Okay.
That little point. Where am I going? I'm going in. I'm going to.
You starting to fade away.
I'm going to the abortion issue.
Okay.
If you read my comment on the chat about the Kansas vote, yes or no, which was August 2nd, my 70th birthday, by the way. That referendum to take away the right of a woman to choose from the Kansas state constitution, that referendum, was soundly voted no. And I went over the stats. The number of Republicans that voted in the Republican primary, because they're like PA,
Mm-hmm.
and, or system.
Closed.
And the number
Closed
of
primaries.
Democrats that voted in the Democratic primary, there was 200,000 more votes in the primary voting just on that issue. Now, yes, obviously a lot of independents are mixed in that 200,000 more votes. But I'm saying there are 200,000 more votes. If you add up the number of Republicans that voted in the Republican primary in Kansas and the numbers of Democrat voters that voted in the Democratic primary in Kansas, there was over 200 more thousand votes that voted in yes or no to make either abortion legal or to allow a woman to continue to make their own choice. And that's interesting. And on the latest poll I saw yesterday, between March really low, but then May it went up. But between May and last week, there are just as the percentage of Democratic voters in this country are just as enthused and fired up to go vote in November 8th as the number of Republican voters in this country have been. So that's a good thing. That should help us in November.
It's an animating interview. It's an animating topic. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you. If that's, it's a shame when something this drastic has to come about to get people involved in the process. But at the end of the day, if that's what it takes, I'll take it. Women should not be having to go through this stress and this, all of it, just all of it, whatever you want to call it, just all of it. They shouldn't be having to go through this, period. Let's just be blunt. But if this what it if this is what it takes for people to get exercised, then I'll sadly, kind of begrudgingly, I will take that trade.
You saw the Guardian post I put on that was site of information about a lady in one of our no abortion states now that has been proven that half the head of the fetus is missing. There's no skull cap. There's no upper brain. And he's got to carry that unless he can find the money and the means to go out of state. He has to carry that dead. Yeah, it might be viable because it's still hooked to her umbilical cord supplying oxygen and nutrients. But the minute
that yes, that's the end of that. Yeah.
Little tidbits of the barbarian that Republicans are doing or trying to do across this country. Anyway, I'm done with that.
All right, brother, we're gonna wrap up.
All right. Well, listen, man, I'm glad you gave me a lot of time tonight.
Well, I do my best. I'm not always. Some days are flexible, more flexible than others. Some shows are more flexible than others. I guess I'm guilty on that one.
I'm so glad that 3 people called in besides me tonight.
I know, man. Let's see what else happens. Let's see if anybody else jumps in. All right, brother.
Love you, bro.
You take care of yourself. You and your better half down there. You stay healthy and you take care of yourselves. All right.
You got it, bro.
All right.
Love you.
Thanks, brother.
Bye-bye.
That is Randall. What a great friend. What a great friend. Great caller. Great part of the program. We're grateful to have folks like that. It means the world to us. Truly, truly, truly. 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. 267-227-9189. I will keep the phone line open until we go try to. I have this weird sort of OCD kind of thing. I don't like to end the show like sort of in a weird place like this. It's 8:08 p.m. Eastern time here in the United States. I like 8:15 or 8:30 or 8:45 or 9 or like once I cross, I try to do things in quarters of an hour. He meant. So I will go to at least 8:15 unless the phone rings again. Let's put it that way. Let's do that. Darn it. So there. We'll take that. What else did I want to mention today? Or something. Well, let's do some business. Because we have about 7 minutes. If no one calls me, 7 minutes will take me to 8:15, and that'll be when we look to wrap up. Let me remind you that my dear friend, compatriot, brother from another mother, and so on. All those fun phrases. Sergeant Mack, Thomas Mack, his program, The Villain's View, will be on hot101.net, will be on his Facebook page called Ghost Claw Productions, and it will be on my page beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern time in the United States, wherever 8 Central and 6 Pacific, and wherever you might be around the globe in a time zone that you're in. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific on hot101.net, and right here on my home group Facebook page, That Other Side of Information. I believe Dr. Jonesia is on tonight as well, talking about the topic that she is an expert in, and that is unlawful, incorrect, sometimes just flat out, incorrect. I mean, just flat out bad justice practices wrongful incarceration cases. She will be on at 9:30 Eastern time. Two of my friends that sadly have shows that kind of go against each other, but if you are, if either of the shows interests you or the topics interest you, then you go to the show that does it for you. We normally share Dr. Jonezia's show here on that other side of information as well, and you can pick which one floats you. Remember, please, that whatever group that you're in, if you're just listening to the program, awesome. If you've been kind enough to share that program, even more awesome. But if you have asked questions or comments or something, I don't see them unless they're in the home group Facebook page. So that other side of information is our home group Facebook page. Please check it out, become a member of it, see the stories that we post, have a conversation. There's a group chat that goes on. Every single member of the group is allowed to be part of the chat. It's kind of a neat feature that Facebook actually offered. I think it's pretty cool. I can't say that I've been a fan of a lot of the changes that they have made lately, but this one's pretty cool. It's like a messenger chat. It's almost like a chat you would have in a comments section, but it's independent of any one particular post. It's just an ongoing chat, and I think it's pretty cool. It is our intention. Oh, if you missed any of the program tonight live, please always know you can go to youtube.com/that other side of information. All of our programs, all of them, every single one of them, all of them are available there. You can go back and watch shows from 2 years ago. Or, given either later tonight, tomorrow, this show will be available and you can catch up on anything that you missed. It is our plan to be with you next week. That is the 28th of August. We are planning to be here next week. Now, I have no scheduled guests as of yet, so we may be doing exactly what we did tonight. But guess what? I feel really, really cool about this program tonight. Jackie had some free time. She jumped in. She noticed we didn't have any guests and she jumped in. That's cool. I appreciate that. And that's kind of the program I've kind of always wanted. I want people to be able to pop in and feel comfortable to do it. Ashley called for the first time in the history of this program. After teasing and prodding and, jokes and pokes here and there, she finally called and lived to tell about it. And of course, Randall's the best. And our new friend, Bobby Joe. And I saw a lot of new names in the chat tonight, a lot of new names, and it really makes me feel good. It makes me think that we're getting something done here. And to think for someone like Bobby Joe to say, I just discovered you. I mean, that's just great. It's just, I keep using the word cool an awful lot tonight, which is pretty, but it's just cool. It's great when someone finds you. You've been here for 3.5 years and somebody says, I just came across your program, and it's wonderful. And that really means a lot. It really means a lot. It's great to have Mike Laws here. Mark, I see, is in here. Ashley, Ryan's been here. Of course, Randall. Fern has been here. Fern, who's going to have to come on the program at some point. All the stuff. It means a lot. It just means a lot because, again, I ain't getting rich off of this. I'm doing it because I think it's necessary. And I mean, obviously, I think I'm pretty good at it, but it's also, I think it's necessary. There's a lack of real truth and real fact in the media in our Commonwealth. And God knows there's a lack of progressive media. There's none really in PA other than this program. I don't know of any sustained live interactive progressive media anywhere in PA other than us. It's 8:14, so we're going to wrap it up. There doesn't appear to be any more callers. Looks like we kind of timed ourselves out. That's cool. And but that's okay. I get it. Anyway, let me again just go through everything we just said, just so you're aware. If you missed any of the program, youtube.com/that other side of information. We will be back next week, 28th, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Again, no guests currently scheduled. Keep an eye on the Facebook page. We'll let you know if we get ourselves a guest. And that pretty much does all that is for all the damage I can do for tonight. Who used to end their program that way? Because I got that from somewhere. I think I've done all the damage I can do. I wish I could remember who did that. I have a feeling it was like one of the SNL news anchors, but I could be wrong. I'll have to think about that. I know I got it from somewhere. I know I get that from somewhere. I'm not that original. I know I got it from somewhere. But that said, that about does it for us. For Whitney, Andrew, Taekwon, and Marquise, my family, my friends and family at TCP, the Culture Professional, you need to check them out. For DJ Lex, DJ Earl, DJ Waterboy, and everybody at hot101.net. For the woman responsible for all of this, my dear friend, whom I haven't seen in quite a while, we need to find time to connect again, April Riddick. And of course, for Kristin, I am Jeff Kennedy. To every single one of you that took part in the program tonight, listening, watching, chat, sharing, I appreciate every single one of you. Every single one of you. We couldn't do it without you. Stick with us. Stay here. We'll be here. If you're there, we'll be here. So for all of us, thank you for being here. And until next week, when we return to you on the 28th, please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Talk to you next week.